في أكبر.
Congratulations, you have found the LAMBcast, the official podcast of the large association of movie blogs, also known as the LAMB. The LAMB is the largest collective of online movie blogs and podcasts with 2,000 members and counting. Every week on the LAMBcast, various members of the LAMB community get together to talk about our favorite subject, movies. So bookmark the LAMB and follow us on social media. Be sure to join us each week to hear a lively discussion of films and movie-related talk from our members. Join the flock at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LAMBcast, the official podcast of the Large Association of Movie Blogs. I'm your host, Richard Kirkham from Kirkham Movie A Day. This week, we have an impossible mission for a team of movie fans to undertake. Unfortunately for them, they don't really work together. They instead work to defeat one another. It's time for another draft show, and our mission, should we decide to accept it, is to compile a slate of Tom Cruise films that will meet with the approval of the LAMB community and garner enough support to be declared team leader. Of course, there are dozens of non-Mission Impossible films to choose from as well. But first, let's meet the guests who are facing oblivion and are far and away ready for a cocktail. Returning for the second time to the show after a long absence, he had me at hello, Justin Gott, formerly of the Rambling Ramblers podcast. Welcome back, Justin.
Thank you so much. Can I say that the show completes me?
You can. That's perfectly fine. I feel good that we have done our job for the day. Next, she feels the need for speed. Jeanette Ward of the Mundane Adventures of a Fangirl. Welcome, Jeanette.
Ooh, you're welcome. Just ran in here with my arms super straight, so we're all good.
Also coming to the show from the disavowed list is Stuart Bannerman from Page to Screen is his site.
I am here because I want the truth.
Sometimes they say he can't handle the truth, but I know that that's what Aaron Neuwirth wants as well. Actually, what he really wants is a fourth draft win in a year. It's an impossible mission, isn't it? Not for Aaron.
Fucking zoo's closed, man. So we're going to have to just do this instead.
All right. Well, the selection and the order was determined before the show started. Justin gets the first pick. Aaron gets the second pick. Stuart is next. Jeanette is fourth. I'm in the last spot, and we do a snake draft for those of you who are not familiar. And so I'll be picking first in the second round, and we go backwards from there. So, Justin, what's your first pick, and why do you have that as your first pick?
Wow. What an honor. Taking the first pick in the Tom Cruise movie draft, a thing that I feel like I was kind of born to do. I know it's a really grandiose statement, but no actor has actually meant more to me since I was 12, 13, 14, in that range. And it all started because some people kind of noticed. I will pick, by the way, but I have to give the preface because, yeah, I mean, this guy he kind of turned me into movies, right? Like, it was one of those things where it was like, I started watching movies a lot more once I got into high school, and his kind of just kept popping up, and people were like, you kind of actually look like a young Tom Cruise, and it was just like, and I actually have picture evidence to show that actually we kind of do. But
we'll require this at the end of the show. Yes,
that's fine. Whenever we get to one of the movies that were selected where they actually show little kid pictures that actually are Tom Cruise, like looking in a mirror. Anyway, I'll just say that Tom Cruise is very important to me, and I know he's an absolute psychopath, and we love him despite that. And I think that because of the amount that he loves movies, you can't help but love movies like he does. Like, it's just one of those things where you have to just get excited because of how much he's excited by movies. And so in that light, my first pick, and there are so many excellent choices here. I'm very excited to have the first pick because it means I get 3 of my almost top 10. And, I think that again, he's just a special guy. And so I'm going to choose my favorite of his. I'm not going to be strategic. I'm not going to try to pick something that maybe Aaron wants or whatever. Maybe, who knows? Maybe it's one and the same. I have to pick my favorite because in 2002 when it came out, it really was one of the ones that pushed me to like really dive into movies and like learn more about what cinematography meant and learn more about the screenwriting process and just all sorts of things. It didn't hurt that one of my all-time favorite directors, come to find out later, would be the one helming that movie. It's Minority Report.
Rules.
Minority Report is a great choice. You get the Spielberg factor included there. We did it as a movie of the month a couple of years ago. I'm trying to remember who was the guest who picked Minority Report.
It's a perfect movie. I rewatched it for this. It had been a few years since I'd seen it, and I think that I don't know why I'd always hedged a little bit and be like, no, it's not good. No, it's a perfect movie. I think that the world building that Spielberg does, especially early on, those first 5, 10, 15 minutes, you're immediately thrown into what that world exists or how that world exists. And I think that the supporting cast is all lights out. And it's one of my favorite Cruise performances. It's not my favorite Cruise performance. We'll get into that later. But like I think it's just the all-around best movie, and he happens to be like obviously the main part of it. And so overall, I think it was as soon as that spinner hit me for number one, I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing.
I have to say this was on the top of my list.
It's a fantastic film.
Yeah.
The thing that always occurs to me that I don't necessarily forget, but it just like when I watch it is it's so dirty.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
Kaminsky cinematography, it's so like purposefully like let's just smudge up the frame as much as we can kind of dirty. And this is still at a point where I like the Spielberg Kaminsky collaborations. Now I'm a little bit soured on it. Although I really like what he did with West Side Story. But regardless, back then it was like we're just having fun here. Like that's what it felt like. Is like Spielberg's just really getting experimental. And on top of that, yes, you get Cruise in like full on like paranoid running mode, and it's great. Like
Yeah.
I love a Cruise movie where the tagline's literally everybody runs. That's so perfect for him.
That's right.
It does have a couple of really the sequence, the eyeball sequence. I feel like I say that everyone just kind of goes, yes, that sequence. Also, Colin Farrell, when we still weren't sure about Colin
Yes.
Farrell, and really delivers in this because you needed someone who could kind of go head to head with Tom
That's right.
Cruise. Who, and I will talk about this as we go on, but Tom Cruise tends to suck the air out of a room for both good and bad reasons, especially in a movie. And I think Colin Farrell was able to handle that. It was a really good counterpoint to him. So yeah, I enjoy this movie.
Samantha Morton,
Yeah.
when we didn't
Yes.
really know who Samantha
Yes.
Morton was. I rewatched Minority Report a couple of days ago, having not seen it for a bunch of years. She's amazing in that. And she, again, shares the screen with Tom Cruise, which is not easy to do.
She does some great whisper acting in this movie.
The scene in the car where it makes the car around him, but then the scene right before that where they're fighting through that, strong Indiana Jones vibes throughout that entire. It's almost like kind of funny in ways, and then with the way the gun wraps around and just all of it, like
the gun is great. That like
Yeah.
that wind up like sonic
The
boom gun or
whip
whatever.
gun, yeah.
yeah, and it's John Williams, right? So like that's
Oh, yeah.
part of it too. You get all it just it. I think it has all the hits. So it's like, I mean, you guys can see I got Spielberg behind me. I got, it's just like
Yeah.
it's kind of it's everything I think that you'd want in a movie, and it rocks. So number one.
It was kind of a throwback to like Spielberg. You kind of forget like he can make a classic action movie without a lot of overarching heavy themes, which for during that time he had been doing like heavy. It was nice to see him kind of throw back and like, yeah, here's an action movie.
Yep.
Well, this is as crazy where he does AI, this, and Catch Me If You Can within 18 months. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
He's
pretty
had
good.
multiple periods of time where he's hit it out of
He
the
does-
park 3
he
times
does
in a row
doubles.
without, yeah.
This is those 3 in 18 months. It's nuts. Like, that's
Yeah.
crazy. It's a crazy schedule.
So Justin, everybody seems to approve of your first choice, so it's hard to take pleasure in that because I think you took something that other people would be willing to take.
That's fine. Everyone has plenty to choose from.
Aaron, it's your turn. What have you got for your first pick?
Oh, great. By the way, I assume every time you say my name, you actually mean to say 3 in a row draft winner Aaron Neuwirth.
Wow.
I just assume
That's right.
that's
Wow,
it.
that's it.
Right off the bat.
I can't not say facts. I'm sorry, but
He can fix that in post. He'll just edit it in.
I mean,
He said it once. He'll just copy and paste it into.
yeah, you know, whatever works to make
Yeah.
it's for the listeners. That's what it's that's
Yeah.
what matters. And I got the hat trick already, so this is just gravy, you know. It's like, like Justin, I'm a big Tom Cruise fan, mainly for his personal life. That's not true at all. I do, I do appreciate the man's dedication to wanting to please audiences in whatever way he feels the need. Lately, he's felt the need is to tempt death, and it's certainly admirable. But it helps that those movies, you know, the missions, and as well as the other things he's done in the past 15 or so years, are very good. Like, he's a very consistent person as far as what his output is. When you have a Tom Cruise in a movie, I don't tend to worry if the movie's gonna be good. Um, but that said, you go back to the 90s, even the late 80s, where he's a top movie star and he just has this ability to pick, like, I want to work with this director because I want to. And he does that for a good 10, 15 years. And it's pretty tremendous to look at that film. Like, looking at this list of movies, and it's like, there are some bad ones, but it's like his batting average is pretty incredible for like a grade A movie star. Like,
Yeah.
you don't get that kind of consistency very often. You can go back to, you know, the older days, and it's like, yeah, not every Humphrey Bogart movie is amazing. Like, there's some that are just like, yeah, that's fine. Like, Tom Cruise is pretty damn consistent as far as what he delivers. So, with all that said, I still have my number one on the board. There are a number of films that I feel like are quintessential Tom Cruise movies as far as like what he's able to deliver as a movie star and as an actor. And there's at least like five of those I can think of offhand that I think, like, if I had those five, I'd be like, this is a perfect list. That
Right.
said, the number one pick I have is Jerry Maguire. Um, I think Jerry Maguire is I only watched like a few Tom Cruise movies to prepare for this, as if I, you know, but but Jerry Maguire is one that I like. What I was doing was we did on Out Now on the podcast I host. We were doing a Tom Cruise quotes game, and I was like reading all these different quotes from different Tom Cruise movies. And when I was reading the Jerry Maguire quotes, I'm just like, I gotta fucking watch Jerry Maguire right now. This movie's amazing, just because I'm like hearing the quotes in my head. And so I watched Jerry Maguire, and it's like, this movie is like incredible to me. It's such a, like, for a non-frills Tom Cruise movie, there's no action. It's a rom-com, like, that happens to have other thoughts about you know, work and sports and what have you, and just has these wonderful sporting performances. But as far as Cruise goes, he's just, it's hard to say he's playing himself, because who knows what Tom Cruise is like in reality. Like, I don't think Tom Cruise knows what he's like in reality if he's like turns it off for a second, because he never turns it off. But in terms of him playing normal guy who like happens to have some challenge in his life where the stakes are, oh no, I lost my $1 million job, I gotta go find another $1 million job. Like, there's not, like, it's such a low stakes kind of movie in that regard. And yet his just sheer charisma and his just general look and the way he deals with people, I think, is so compelling. It doesn't hurt that Cameron Crowe just has a really tremendous script. I believe the script for Jerry Maguire has been voted, like, in a number of places as like one of the best scripts ever written, or something, like, or like among the list of those. And I think it shows based on how strong the character work is in this kind of a movie that is purely based on movie stars. Um, as far as Tom Cruise is, like I said, I think he's excellent at delivering here in a manner that I can't think of like other films that are like this for him necessarily, that are specifically taking like his persona and not even twisting it, or just like putting it into, like, instead of a stellar movie star, he's a sports agent. And yeah, I've seen this movie plenty of times. It's very quotable. It's very fun. Tom Cruise has great chemistry with Cuba Gooding and Renee Zellweger, and of course Jonathan Lipnicki. It's just a wonderful little movie. So yeah, Jerry Maguire is my number one pick for the draft here.
Once again,
Good choices.
nobody's going to be arguing with that choice, I don't think.
I mean, I'll push back a little. It's not my number one. It's not even in my top 10. I'll just say
Wow.
that.
I hated it. But
Oh,
I am
good
very
deal.
unusual. I acknowledge that I am unusual.
I like
Wow.
this.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not. I like it. I think it's good. I actually rewatched it for the first time in a very long time for this, and was surprised that it didn't grab me. I love sports, and I like the agent world is really like, and it just. I think it's the romance side of things. I don't think him and Renee Zellweger actually do have a lot of chemistry. Him and
Oh,
Cuba do.
okay.
I think him and Cuba are that's far and away the best relationship is between Jerry and Rod. And I think everything between the two of them, just it's fireworks. and then it's kind of it's a bit of a down every time it goes, and he's trying to pretend to be a normal person, because I don't think Jerry's actually all that normal. I think he thinks that being normal involves having a relationship and doing and I don't think that that's actually
I
who he
wonder how
is.
much that reflects on Cruz now.
Mm.
Like he,
Oh,
because
totally.
he's made himself very asexual since since
Yep.
Minority Report. Honestly, like he's very much
If not
a
further than back than that, yeah.
There's
yeah.
a few where he tries, right? And we may or may not even discuss those at some point on this draft, but I think that for whatever reason, the romance side didn't work for me. And again, still, it's really good. Like, again, like as you said, it's a good movie still, and I think his performance is one of those, like, that's a movie star. He's in what, 98% of that movie. Like, I mean, it's his movie, and it's still very good. I couldn't hang with some of it felt dated to me. I guess is the longest. I'm glad Jeanette agrees with me, because I was afraid that I'd be the one
Oh,
being
I'm
like, oh,
surprised, but
Jerry
that's great.
Maguire, you know, yeah.
No, honestly,
Oh,
I think it probably bears a rewatch for me. I saw it on a plane years ago and I just hated it. I just remember being like, this is pointless. I don't like any of these characters. The romance makes no sense. I see no chemistry between these people. Yeah, and it's so interesting we talk about, because I was going to mention this later, but the opportunity has been offered, and so I will take it and mention this. We are at a point, and Tom Cruise, I think, has cultivated this in that he is a genuine movie star, for better or for worse, and we can talk about that too, but he is a legit movie star in that it often takes me a long time to remember the words Ethan and Hunt, because it's just Tom Cruise, right? And there are other movies where it's like I couldn't thank God Jerry Maguire is the title of the movie, because otherwise, what's that character's name? Doesn't matter. It's Tom Cruise. Who the guy Live Die Repeat is Tom Cruise. Oblivion, Tom Cruise. Doesn't matter. It's his character names are almost irrelevant at this point, because the movies are Tom Cruise movies, and he has cultivated that. And it's so interesting that there are these handful. Again, we'll probably get to this, a handful of rom-coms, or at least rom-com
rom
adjacent
droms.
movies at the beginning of his career, where it's like, this is the box we want to put you in. And as soon as he started creating his own autonomy within his career, he very much shies away from that, where he's like, no, 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 I am this, which is just the movie. And like rom-com isn't necessarily his sweet spot and doesn't need to be. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's unique to him. I don't know that any other working actor has the same type of aura, in that this movie is me and I am this movie. But I think you're right in that it kind of starts in Jerry Maguire, or at least you can see it really being um, kind of canonized and solidified, where he's like, well, now I start to know what I want and what I'm gonna do. And so as soon as he starts to be a producer and have more control over these movies, you start to see it kind of shift.
Notably, it's the same year he does Mission Impossible, which is his first produced movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you
There's
saying there's some causality there?
I think there's a number of inflection points in his career, and I think that, like, as we
easily.
touch those movies, you can kind of see just his brain chemistry shift almost. And as he wades through whatever private waters he had, like, you can see it in his career, and that's what makes his filmography fascinating, because you can actually see the roller coaster, as it were. And I'm just currently very happy that we're back on an up, where it's not crazy to say I love Tom Cruise, because for a while there it was dicey.
It's
could
still
jump-
not the listen, it's not my turn yet.
He can jump on as many couches
I
as
was
he
going to
wants.
say, Stuart, it's your turn. Give us
good.
some dicey choices.
I've been getting the emails from Richard for like a while now, since I was on the LAMBcast, probably years ago. This episode excited me because I'm like, I'm probably going to be the only one on this episode that is older than Tom Cruise's career. So I remember being there. I saw Endless Love with his like 20 seconds where he's sitting on the side of a hill and you don't pay any attention to him. But then Taps I watched, and then All the Right Moves. And I saw the rise of Tom Cruise, and I've been a fan since Risky Business and Taps and stuff like that. And so I'm like, I need to go on and be older than Tom Cruise's career and talk about how I love seeing this guy just right mentioned working with all these different directors: Scorsese, Ridley Scott, Tony Scott, Spielberg, and loads. I think he's not yet worked with Coppola. I'm hoping for Megalopolis too. which I have to pick as my number one choice because my buddy Oliver Stone would punch me in the face if I didn't. I've got to go Born on the 4th of July. Previous to that, we'd seen lots of popcorn Tom Cruise movies, so Legend and All the Right Moves, Risky Business, and Rain Man and stuff like that. Born on the 4th of July is a hard-hitting movie. And he plays it deadly serious. There's no real wisecracking comments in that. It is a gritty, based on a true story movie that you don't come out and go, wow, that was great. I want to watch it again right now. Get me another bucket of popcorn and a hot dog. And he held his own. Oliver Stone is notorious for not being an easy person to work for. And they got along famously. And the film still stands up to this day. I haven't rewatched it this year, but I do plan on rewatching it really, really soon. And that's probably my number one choice, Born on the 4th of July.
I feel like, is it because he could have, based on timelines and connections, he could have fallen into the Brat Pack type whirlpool, and yet it feels like Born on the 4th of July, maybe a couple others, he started making choices to separate himself.
Yeah, I think so.
He knew early on that he was, frankly, just better than the others around him. I mean, it's true. I mean, Emilio Estevez isn't as good of an actor as Tom Cruise is. I don't know what to tell you.
What? Hot take. Hot take from Aaron. Oh my goodness, you guys.
I've never heard Tom Cruise say "Hasta lasagna, don't get any on you." That belongs to Emilio. He's hovering that line.
But yeah, Born on the 4th of July, I tend to put top 3 performances from Tom Cruise, if not his best. I agree. It's mainly for the way he yells penis at his mother, but he's also like, he grows his hair out and everything. That's good too. But no, it's a fantastic film and a great performance for sure.
Well, he had been working with those other big time actors up to that point. He'd done The Color of Money and he'd done Rain Man the year before. And it was kind of like well, I'm sure he had a plan. I'm going to elevate myself as an actor. I'm going to work with the best in the business. I'm going to get to a point where I can carry a movie on my own and do it dramatically, not just depend on my grin. And I think this is the first film where he does exactly that.
He also went after the role that Charlie Sheen got in Wall Street. So I guess he had his sights. He had his sights set on working with Oliver Stone. Didn't work out for Wall Street. A couple of years later, it did for Born on the 4th of July. But yeah, it would have been interesting seeing Cruise in that role.
Yeah, I think it's one of the few movies of his that's a tough hang. Like so many of his movies are just fun, or they have enough action, or they have enough, his zany, energy that, makes it, enjoyable to experience. This one is just rough in the best ways. Like, it's an excellent movie, and I agree with Aaron. I think it's a top 3 performance for him. But it's not one that I would, hey, let's throw on Born on 4th of July. Like, it's just not, it's not in that vein, which it just means it's not as rewatchable, and that's fine. But it's an excellent choice.
I think something key to it is he's not that, he's what, in his 20s, maybe, Born on the 4th of July at that point, but he has to play older eventually, and you could easily wonder if, like, is it just going to seem like a young guy with, like, makeup on or whatnot to make himself feel older? And what's crucial is when he becomes, like, the older version of Roy, and he has the hair and the goatee and everything, like, he feels convincing still. Like, I'm not just looking at a guy and playing dress up. It still feels like he's the same person. And I've seen other movies that's not nearly as effective. So, I mean, that speaks to, I think, the quality of what he's being able to put out there.
You're not referring to Leonardo DiCaprio as J. Edgar Hoover, are you?
I wasn't directly, but that's certainly a good example.
Well, Jeanette, who are you going to be referring to in your pick?
Well, this is tough. And this was such an interesting one for me because I think a lot of people, and we've already mentioned in like movie star versus actor, this is a guy who can kind of do both, but chooses very carefully when he wants to do what stuff. He's not one of my favorite movie stars or actors. And I in going through his filmography, there's not a ton of movies on this list that I would consider rewatchable, or things that, if they're on TV, I'm going to stop and watch. There's a couple, but there's not a ton of them. And it's the late run of the Mission Impossibles and other things like that, where he is focused on stunts over stories sometimes, but it always finds a way to work the stunts into the stories, at least tries to. He's what I like and appreciate about Tom Cruise, and I think we've talked about this already, is that his dedication to movie fans. He's going to make a movie that he knows fans are going to see, and that is his priority. He wants to make a watchable movie. He is a man who, okay, here's my budget. I'm going to put every single penny of it on screen, and that's what I want from a producer, from a showrunner, from anything. You can have the highest budget you want to have as long as every single penny of it is on screen and I can see it. And if you spend millions of dollars on a star, that doesn't count as money I can see on screen, right? And Tom Cruise, well, his paychecks, I'm sure, are huge. He will take the time to put the money into the sets, the production value, the stunts, the action, the writing to a point, the direction, but he makes movies for fans of movies, and I will never not appreciate that. Personal stuff on the side, and I think we'll probably say that a lot. Like there's a lot, you could dig into that over and over again. There's a lot of questionable stuff there. But when you're just talking about Tom Cruise, the movie star, Tom Cruise, the fan service person, I'm here for it. I love it. I think it's great. There's a couple of, like I said, Minority Report was very, very high on my list. There's two that I am debating as which one I should pick first because I worry about losing the second one. Both of them are kind of even. So I'm going to go a little out of the box. Y'all, all my choices are out of the box. I'm going to start with Legend. From
All right.
yeah, I'm from 1985, which is, I don't know, his third or fourth movie, but it is a Ridley Scott movie. It is, if you don't remember it, it's the movie that teaches you one of the most important life lessons you can ever learn, and that is don't touch the unicorn. Period. That's the takeaway from this movie. There's
We're
other
still
stuff
learning
that
that
happens. There's other stuff. There's there's Tim Curry as the devil / Lord of Darkness in what is one of the best makeups I've ever seen. There's Mia Sara flouncing around in a dress. There's Billy Barty as, Billy Barty in the 80s, which every role was kind of the same. But yeah, man, don't touch the unicorn. Sets on this story is whatever, but it is a lush artwork of a movie in line with an early 80s fantasy action piece, which if you grew up in the 80s, man, these movies, there's a lot of them, each one crazier than the last, and this one is pretty crazy. So yeah, I'm going with Legend for my number one pick.
I do like the
So
fact that it's out of the box for a choice. I've been a defender of Legend for ever since it came out. I think it's a spectacular looking film. I don't think that Tom Cruise is the best thing in that movie. I think he's
You will sense a theme across my picks.
so apparently your picks are going to have less to
movies with
do
Tom
with
Cruise is the worst part about it.
Yes.
Movies that Tom Cruise is in.
That's a theme.
Well,
The
that's
Outsiders.
that's a position to
Well,
take.
there's-
Position to take.
Yeah, there's not a ton of ensemble work in his oeuvre. And I think maybe on purpose, but I don't
Sure.
mind that. Yes.
So can I just say, I watched this for the first time this week.
Period.
Can
Wait,
I ask?
moving on.
Can I ask which version? Which
Right,
version did
yeah.
you watch? 'Cause
I
there's two of them.
watched, well, the only version the library had was the director's cut, which
Very
was
typical for Ridley Scott.
certainly 20 minutes too long.
Oh, yeah.
Which would also be another 20 minutes too long. It was onerous. It was it was rough. It was really, really rough. I did not enjoy myself. That is for sure. I can appreciate the sets. I can appreciate the makeup. Tim Curry, man, did that head thing weigh 100 pounds, 150 pounds?
A lot.
Like,
He
I
would
mean,
never let you know.
Yeah.
Jonathan Lipnicki would know that.
He
fact
would.
if you asked him.
Yeah,
The
incredible.
devil's head weighs exactly 85 pounds.
Yeah, it was rough. I'm not going to belabor it. I did not enjoy myself in
No,
any
no,
way. So
Justin, I think
so
that's
you know what?
absolutely fair. That's a fair response.
And I am so happy you took it because that just means it's one more of my movies that I love that's still available because you have Legend.
I think Jeanette has a strategy here, and it's an interesting one. And I'll be watching to see how it plays out over the next couple of choices. Well, I'm going to break the bank open on the obvious choice that's sitting in front of us and pick my favorite of the Mission Impossible movies as my first choice, and that's Mission Impossible 3.
Ew.
No!
I do have an issue where I don't necessarily remember which one is which. So what
The
happens
worst
in
one.
three?
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Okay, there we
Philip
go.
Seymour
Thank you.
Hoffman is the
That's-
There
villain,
we go.
and
Worst one.
as as most of these films reflect, the better the villain, the better the film. And
Yes.
Philip Seymour Hoffman is a great villain in this film. There are 2 or 3 confrontation scenes that he has with Tom Cruise. There's a lot of intensity in those. The animosity that you feel between the two of them, I think, is great. And there's a lot of the Tom Cruise running that you get in this. Plus, when we get to the end of the whole series, we get to retcon this storyline into the final movie, which I kind of enjoyed as a little tag, seeing Dead, or not Dead Reckoning Part 2, Final Reckoning, excuse me, because
One of the reckonings. I really wish the numbers were in the title. I
yeah,
really wish all of them had the numbers.
it would be easier to remember the order in which they occurred. But this is the one that has some of those elements about Tom Cruise that I like, where he does play kind of a wise ass character and gives it a little bit more. Those opening scenes with when he's at the party with his wife, and he has to go and get his mission assignment at the 7-Eleven or the Circle K, I forget exactly which one it is, something like that. And he plays off a lot of the things with her relatives as they're talking. That's the kind of charm that I think helps sell him as an actor and as a star. He's got on-screen charisma plenty, but he also has, the talent to play a character that you might enjoy spending some time with. And I think in this film, that's the start of that for the Ethan Hunt character. I think the other ones, he's not that kind of character that you would enjoy spending time with. He's much more business oriented and to the point. And this one, I think he adds some personality to the character of Ethan Hunt.
I humanized
Does
him a
it?
little.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And that's why I like this as my favorite Mission Impossible
Is
film.
this the one where he was reading people's lips across the party at
Yep.
the
Yeah.
beginning?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, a little creepy.
Yeah, he seems like
But
a
also-
psychopath at that party. That's like he seems like a human. I think he seems like a psycho that tries too hard. This is not the only guy I want to hang out with. I'd be actively avoiding this man if I had encountered him as a party. He just seems
And
like
I would be
he wants to be deep.
NFL coach every time you talk,
Mhm.
putting the little board in
Yeah.
front of you.
No, he seems like he'd be deeply trying to nose his way into my business. I'd be like, dude, back off. Go get me some fucking popcorn or something. Like, what are you doing over here? I think this is the worst Mission Impossible movie. I like every Mission Impossible movie, but this one is the lead because it just feels like an extended TV pilot. And as much as I like Philip Seymour Hoffman. Yes, of course I do. Is he good in this movie? He's Philip Seymour Hoffman. It's not like he's bad. All he does is threaten women for 10 minutes. I mean, that's his role in this movie. Like it's not much of a role. But I'm sure it bought him a new house, getting this check after winning an Oscar. That's great for him.
Is
But
this
it
the
does-
first J.J.
Is that a
Abrams
Michael
one?
Caine line that you're
It's the only-
stealing
yeah.
there?
No,
Was the
I'm not. It's just the classic. Like, yeah, he took a check. That's great for him. It's also it's just an ugly movie. I don't like looking at it. I hate the cinematography of Mission Impossible 3, which never helps for me.
J.J.
And,
Abrams.
it's J.J. Abrams. It's his movie. It's his. Yeah, I can do what I did on Alias, make it into a movie, I guess. And I'm like,
Lens flares and Dead Felicity. Hey, I would
A lot of Lens
100%
flares.
make
I like
make
that.
me an Alias movie now, and I'll watch
a
the
haunting
hell out
look
of that.
of Carrie Russell dead with her eyes all bulged out. It's like, oh, this is ugly. I was watching this movie.
I kind of like the fact that it was not as successful as they had hoped it would be when it came out, and that Summer Redstone tried to, cancel the whole Mission Impossible series based on that, and dump
And then it
Tom
got better.
Cruise. And then suddenly it turned around, and
For the better.
I think it's interesting that Aaron and Summer Redstone must have been watching this movie together.
Richard,
And audiences, since they're like, you know what, we like this one less.
It came back.
Richard,
They
I
did.
am so torn. Like my insides are torn. On one side, I just lost my favorite Mission Impossible movie. And on the other side, I found somebody who also appreciates Mission Impossible 3 as much as I do. And it's just like my
Right.
insides are just being ripped apart. I love this movie.
I don't mind this one.
I think that, I've heard it looks like a TV show garbage before. And I guess it doesn't have to be glossy for me. It doesn't have to be like we were talking about the budget earlier, right? Like you have to put $200 million into it and it has to look like, I guess, maybe I'm just an idiot and I just don't recognize things, but I think that it's as smooth and the plot runs through everything in the ways that I would want a Mission Impossible movie to, but I'm not thinking about, oh, this angle isn't like I'm diving into what Cruise is selling in this. And Richard put it, he's being a human. And as much as you may not want to hang out with the dude, that's fine. But especially coming off of John Woo's version, which maybe we talked about it, I don't know. But this is where
That'll be Aaron's favorite, by the way.
he became a character who had
one of mine.
feelings. He was a character who, and especially like you can see his private life kind of blending into this, right? Because this was at the Katie Holmes era, and so like you can see like he was a very happy like, or at least showing person, and you could see that he wanted Ethan Hunt to have that sort of a connection, but between another human. Because I believe when two humans really care about each other, they're supposed to like combine together. At least that's what I think. That's what L. Ron Hubbard says. I don't really know, but I just think that everything about the personal stuff of Ethan Hunt is what I love about this movie. And then it's got the bridge sequence, and it's got Lawrence Fishburne just hamming it
Fishburne's
up.
great.
And you get Crudup being amazing Crudup. And you've got the swinging across the buildings. There are some nice set pieces despite it being a slightly toned down version. And I'm so happy that Richard appreciates this, and I am so distraught that I'm losing, because I thought I was going to get it late. I thought everyone thinks about it the way Aaron does. I was like, oh, I'm going to get this in the last round, and no one's going to want it. So I'm happy and sad.
It's a competent
Three's
film.
great because this is at a time when every single Mission Impossible film was going to be done by a different director. That was always like the early plan before Macquarie went, I'm having it, and nobody's clutch it out of my cold dead hands type thing. And I like 3. Yes, it did feel very aliasy, but that's J.J. Abrams. That's how J.J. got the gig.
Maybe it helps that I never watched Alias, so I wasn't exposed to all of the tropes that he had already used.
It's out there on your Disney Plus.
Alias,
you can watch it. It's super fun. The first
Alias
couple of
is like a really first 3 maybe, and then it's sort of goes a bit.
It has the same issue as every J.J. Abrams project. You know, it's great in the beginning. He loses interest, wanders off to something else, and then the end tapers off. Every single J.J. Abrams project. So yes, watch the first couple seasons of Alias. They're great.
They are.
Well, I'm in a strange position here coming in on the second round because I was not expecting to have some of the choices available to me that I have. And so I'm trying to refocus the direction of my strategy here. Should I pick films that I like and enjoy the most personally, or should I pick films that I think are going to get folks to vote for my Tom Cruise slate? Damn, because I didn't think I was going to have a couple of these options available at this point. Thank you guys for picking other films that I think are good choices for the most part. But you left me with too many, they're just too many notes. Damn it. I need fewer of them.
Pick from the heart, Richard.
That's
pick
right.
from the heart.
Be you.
Pick from the heart. Yeah. So, okay. Well, I'm going to pick from the heart and keep my fingers crossed that something holds on for a while. I'm going to pick Night and Day as my second film.
Interesting.
Wow.
Let me scroll down my list to find that. All right.
Night and Day is maybe the most rewatchable, entertaining Tom Cruise film. You can step into it in almost any spot, and in the days before streaming, and you had cable or satellite television, it would play regularly, and I would come across it, and that's exactly what I would do. Say, oh well, I've got half an hour. There's Night and Day, and I can watch Night and Day because it's got the charm that I was talking about before that the character shows as a person, and it's got a lot of vigorous action stuff in it, and it's funny. There's a lot of stuff in it that's really entertaining and funny. And there was another film that was out earlier that year that was kind of premised the same thing with Kutcher. What's his name? Kutcher.
Ashton
Ashton Kutcher, and I forget who the female lead in that film was. But it was the same kind of theme where, he's an agent and she's not, and they get connected somehow, and it follows this plot line, and it was not nearly as interesting, and certainly not as entertaining. And you would think somebody who's a comic actor like Ashton Kutcher would have been a better fit for it, but Tom Cruise carries this off, I think, very well. And so, like I said, when my choice was to pick from the heart. I didn't think anybody else was going to pick this one, but I want to make sure I got it.
Accurate.
So I put it on the list. Yes, thank you.
I like this movie fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think it certainly starts strong enough. I think my only issue is it doesn't follow through with what should be the case, is that he actually is a crazy person.
Right.
Like it feels like it gears itself up so much to be like, actually, yeah, he actually is going rogue because he's bad, or like he's the wrong agent or something, and Cameron Diaz is to like save the day or whatever. I do like the idea that it's a movie about a character watching a character be crazy, like because it's Cameron Diaz's movie essentially. She's the POV character, she's the person
Mm-hmm.
we follow. So I like that. It's like, what if you were hanging around with Tom Cruise just being a daredevil? That's a fun. That's a fun process. I just think it chickens out from doing more with what that premise could ultimately lead to. But
Mm. Yeah,
also, I'm like, this is the period where I'm not big on Paul Dano, and he shows up in this movie, and I'm like, get out of my movie. Like, this is not helping anything at all.
No one is that dude.
That's so funny.
Oh, quite
I
like
like
it.
him now more. I've come to appreciate things that he does, but in this movie, he's like, I'm on a train, and I'm
He's
like,
creepy
guy.
as hell, no matter
Yeah.
where he is.
Yeah, I rewatched this for the first time since the theater, and I remembered not liking it very much at the time, and it got a little better in my estimation on this rewatch. I think Cameron Diaz is quite awful in this, honestly. I think that this is. I actually feel like if she hadn't just done MI3 with him the year before, Michelle Monaghan, I think actually would be a great choice here for that role, because I think that. I don't know. This wasn't the Diaz role for me. This and Gangs of New York are not the best representations of what an actor should be doing. I like Cruz being funny. I like him going for it, and that hamming up on his end. I enjoy that quite a bit. I think I'm not a big fan of the yada yadaing the action scenes though, because like Aaron says, it's from her point of view, and when she like passes out or when she does the whatever she goes to sleep, that's when the action scenes occur. And so you kind of don't get any of that, and so it's just kind of left there. It's still James Mangold, still a good time, and so I appreciated it. But I'm grateful. This is good for me and my list at the moment that stuff like this is happening early.
I'm kind of adjusting because it's like I've seen this film once, like years and years ago, and I remember not liking it. I need to go back and revisit it, I think, and see what it's
It
like
has
a
its
second
moments.
time. But this feels like doesn't feel like a Tom Cruise event movie when it came out. Just like oh yeah, Tom's
It
done
does
one.
kind
A
of just
bit like
happen.
American Made. That's another one. It's like, oh, it happened.
Uh-huh.
There we go.
Well, like I said, I found it completely rewatchable. In fact, it was so rewatchable. I had my first iPod was actually the iPod Touch, which was basically the iPad before the iPad was out. And this was the one film that I had that I
Oh,
downloaded that I could carry with me
I
anywhere.
love
And
that.
if I was killing 10 minutes waiting for my wife while she was shopping, I could sit and watch 10 minutes of this movie and be perfectly fine with it. But I know that that's not necessarily the best standard for picking
Uh,
a film. But like I said, it's in my head rattling around, and I'm happy to let it rattle around some more.
I like that we'll come to Richard's house
I
one.
still use an iPod Touch to this very day. I do
We'll
have
come-
one. It's my podcast device of
We'll come
choice.
to Richard's house one day and walk into his night and day room. It'll just be posters all over the wall.
Yeah, good luck
VHS
on that
and
one.
DVD, like just stacks of empty copies.
Amazing.
I did like the graphic design of the poster, though.
Yeah,
I'll
most
throw that in at the end.
Yeah.
That way, when I do the illustrated podcast, I can throw the poster in right at this moment.
There you go.
Way to
Excellent.
manipulate the YouTube video.
Jeanette, it's your turn to pick again.
Well, I think it's ironic. We were just talking about like, yeah, he's funny in that. I
Yeah.
think that I could use more Tom Cruise comedies. A genre that I love that isn't dug into enough. Boy, I'm looking forward to the upcoming Heads of State, because that looks like a pure action comedy with some 100% high quality nonsense in it. I'm gonna say Tropic Thunder.
Mm.
Tom Cruise is the best part of that movie.
Yeah.
He is completely and totally unhinged. He commits to the bit on a level, the same level with which he commits to climbing the Burj Khalifa, to hanging off the side of a jet aircraft, to jumping from biplane to biplane. He commits to a comedy bit with the same level of intensity, and I feel like in this movie in particular, it pays off. And I remember seeing this without knowing he was in it, without being ready for what was about to happen, and it blew my mind. And I thought, if he's this funny doing this, people need to be giving him more comedies. He doesn't seem to search it out. He doesn't seem to look for it. He's fine with he's not super quippy, even in a lot of his big action movies, but I would love to see him lean into more action comedy in the future.
Yeah. Did you know it was him as soon as you saw him?
I don't remember. It is so connected now.
Because that's the question. Is like
yeah.
if as a viewer, if you clocked him or not. So
Yeah,
I remember knowing he was going to be in it and being excited and seeing him and being excited. But my girlfriend at the time, who I saw it with, we got to the credits and it said, and Tom Cruise as, and she went, what?
Yeah.
And that was a moment for me where I went, that's wild that some people are going to go through this entire movie and not see him.
know. Yeah.
And so then you watch it again, you're like, actually, I can see that. I can see if you're not thinking about it in any way. That character is so insane and so different from what we're used to him. I love it. I watched it again, and I think it's a pretty good movie. I think Jack Black in particular kills me in that movie. But I'll just say
Jack
that
Black in particular, Robert Downey Jr. in what
is amazing.
Could be. There's almost no words to describe what he does in that movie.
That's correct.
It shouldn't work. And yet sometimes it works. And then sometimes it doesn't work. But what I love the most in that movie is all the other throwaway movie clips, like to the other movies that they've done.
Oh, the trailers.
Satan's Alley.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of those.
Yeah.
So good. And then just Tom Cruise over the end credits. I feel like he just commits so hard, which we know he does in everything. It just blew my mind for that. So yeah, I'm gonna pick again. He's not in a ton of ensembles. I like it when when he doesn't have to hold the entire movie as he's running, and he can really just lean into being totally outrageous. Because it's not his movie. And I think you see that very, very rarely, but when you see it, it's super engaging. So yeah, that's why I'm picking this one.
I like Tropic Thunder quite a bit, largely for the performances. I think McConaughey's low-key MVP stuff going.
Yes, that's fair.
It's the most biting role. It's the one that feels the most true to Hollywood as far as what he's doing as an agent and the bullshit he has to deal with, as well as the hard decisions he's forced to make as far as his clients go.
TiVo.
Here's my thing with the Cruise performance, which is very funny, especially in certain spots. I mean, the dance or whatnot. And when I saw it, I clocked it, but like you could feel the audience in like different waves figuring out that it was him, which I really enjoyed. But my thing with Tom, like again, he certainly, no doubt he commits. He's Tom Cruise. That's what he does. If you take away the makeup and the hands, it's just Tom Cruise. Like he's not doing anything different than he ever does. Like there's nothing different about this performance from any other Tom Cruise yelling.
Oh my God, I so want to see it without the makeup now.
Well, I mean, that's just him in like any movie where he yells. Like that's what it is. Like, that's not me saying it's not talent that he's using to make this character work. I'm just saying it's not much of a stretch beyond the prosthetics. Like he's just being angry, which is very funny. It's very funny to watch, for sure.
It's him being unleashed.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you just do some stuff over here. We might not use all of it. Just go ahead. Nobody's paying any attention to you. Just go ahead. Just do some stuff.
And because
I think I want to see more of that, but I'm also afraid of it.
No, I think in doses it works well.
There it is, right there, when it's a little piece.
Yeah, and that's why I like what he does in the Mission Impossible stuff, because they are essentially action comedies for the most. Like they're especially like Ghost Protocol, for example. It's a very funny movie. Like he can be funny. And he's been funny in other movies. There's other ones we haven't mentioned yet that he's certainly very funny in. But yeah, this is one where he's like, because I'm only in this 10%, I can just whatever, and Ben Stiller will encourage me to do so. Like it works a lot.
The ratio of his participation in the movie is inversely directly related to the ratio of how much Tom Cruises. If he's in 100% of the movie, he has to be reined in at like 50%. If he's in 10% of the movie, then no one can rein him in and he could be at 100%. You see what I mean? That kind of, listen, I'm sure there's an equation out
You've
there
got
that
an
someone has
interesting
worked out.
algorithm going on
Yeah, the
there.
math
I'm not
is
sure I
mathing, I
could
think,
explain
yeah.
it, but I understand what you're saying.
Well, the difference that he has is that he's Tom Cruise and he actually makes the lead stuff interesting, where there's plenty of people that are put in lead roles that become the most boring part of the movie. It's rare that Cruise is the most boring part of a movie, even if the movie's not very good.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Stuart, have you got something
Good
that's
choice.
good or something that's boring?
I think it's great. That's why I put it in my list. But you can all take, line up or circle me and get ready to punch lumps out of my choice because I'm going Rock of Ages.
Yay!
Thank you.
I don't like musicals. I'm not a huge fan of musicals. Doesn't mean musicals are bad. It just means I'm not a fan of them. There's exceptions like Greatest Showman and Sweeney Todd and stuff that I quite like. Rock of Ages, I only watched it because Tom Cruise was in it. And I've seen all his other films. One out of the way. It's a musical. Probably going to hate it. Tom Cruise is amazing in this. He sings his own songs. I had this experiment where I downloaded the soundtrack, took it into my workplace when we were working in the put headphones on various is Bon Jovi, Guns N' Roses. No, Tom Cruise. None of them guessed it was Tom Cruise. The guy's amazing as Stacey Jacks in that film. Is the film great? It's a musical, so I don't know, but he elevates it for me. So I'm going Rock of Ages, knowing it'll probably get kicked off the list pretty fast.
He is great as Stacey
I love
Jacks. No
Yes,
question.
I agree.
I completely agree. He is a highlight of that. And we're talking about ensembles again. This is the one where he lifts the movie. Like Tropic Thunder, he adds to the movie. Stacey Jacks lifts the entire movie.
Mm-hmm. Again, he's in it, what, 20%? So he's going full, yeah.
This is one of my few blind spots. I've always refused strictly on the fact that movie looks like an absolute travesty.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah,
it is a travesty.
and I can't put myself through it and stuff.
It's great.
But
Watch
so
it.
you know
Treat
what I'm
yourself.
gonna do? I'm just gonna try to find a supercut of only Tom Cruise scenes and call it a day. And if it exists, I'm in.
I mean, there's some significant Alec Baldwin doing some
There's
pretty
some
big
stuff
Alec
that works for
Baldwining
sure,
that is,
yeah.
it's worth it.
Paul Giamatti's in there. He's pretty good.
You haven't sold me yet.
What does Giamatti play in that
trying.
movie?
It's Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
Just
I know.
go onto YouTube
Yeah.
and just watch one musical number that Tom Cruise does from that film, and you'll be like, I need to give this film a shot here because Tom Cruise is going for it. Really good.
Well, I like the fact that everybody here is trying to sell Rock of Ages to our listeners. Good luck on that one.
Yeah.
Aaron, what are you going to try and sell us?
Well, you took the heavy hitters like Legend and Rock of Ages off the list, so let me reassess my list here and figure this out.
All right.
Mummy.
Mummy. Cruise Mummy. Oh boy. Losing it.
The best drafts are ones where no one has to worry about their stuff getting picked because everyone's picking
right.
stuff that no one else wants.
Aaron,
I
this
still
worked
have
out for us, man. This worked out for us.
I still have my top 5, 6 movies here.
Me too.
Here comes the mummy.
So let's see. I didn't expect to get these options, so this does make it very difficult.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's where I'm at right now.
What did I choose first? I chose Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
Let me go a different direction. Why is this harder? Like, this is weird.
Just say the Mummy.
can't
You know
wait
you
for
want to pick
whatever
that
you're going
one,
to say,
don't
so
you?
I can think about my 2 picks.
Okay. I mean, I'll take Magnolia. Why not? I mean, if we're going,
Respect
we're
the
on
choice.
this ensemble kick right now, apparently. So I'll take
There you
Magnolia,
are.
which I do think is another one of his top 3 best performances as an actor, where that's him completely out of a comfort zone. That's him being like, you know what? I was just with Stanley Kubrick for 3 years. Let me do something that's a little smaller with one of the best upcoming directors at the time, Paul Thomas Anderson, and I'm going to crush it in this insane role that I'm working on, where I get to play this huge misogynist that's super popular because I can convince random gravelly men that I can get them ladies and whatnot, and then let me have a super epic breakdown because my famous fathers dying. And this is the best Tom Cruise Philip Seymour Hoffman interaction that we have. This movie right here, where him and Hoffman in the house, and he gets there and he's like, if those dogs come, I'm gonna kick those fucking dogs if they come near me, which is like such a it's such a crazy way he says it. But no, I think Tom Cruise is just electrifying in this movie because it's this is like between this and at least one other role I can think of, this is nothing like he's ever done, let alone has repeated. He's got his MI2 hair going, like it's just like nuts. Like, except he's like got it weirdly parted in the. It's there's a whole sequence where he's just like sitting in his underwear, and it's like, this guy is just like completely vulnerable. He's stripped down. There's another scene where he's just like being asked, which is the most like reality kind of line where he's like people are delving into his private life and he's just quietly sitting and not saying anything at that point, and he's just like, I'm quietly judging you, and it's like the most intense you've seen Cruise be. I mean, Magnolia itself, I think it's a terrific movie. It's a terrific ensemble film. Philip Seymour Hoffman, John C. Reilly, just every actor in Hollywood is delivering their A+ best work. But yeah, the Cruise stuff in this is unlike anything I see Cruise do before or since. So yeah, I'll take Magnolia. I'll put that on the list right there.
All right. I think you're exactly right about everything Cruise is doing. I'm one of those very few out there. I hate Magnolia. Yeah. I can't stand it.
Talk about dropping a dead frog on the conversation.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I think Cruise is excellent, and I think there are some really good performances in it as well. I don't like anything that the last hour has to offer, and specifically the frogs. And that movie actually hurts because I think the intro is amazing and the conceit is great, and I'm a big fan of other PTA movies. That one is not it, but agree on the Cruise. The Cruise is excellent in that.
The last hour, that's only like a tenth of the movie.
That's true. Yeah, it's an ending.
And the shortest one.
Well, Justin, we're back to you. You've got two choices.
Wow.
I know it's a pile of riches for you to dig through.
Wow. So I'm staring at my letterbox right now, and in my top 10, only 2 have been selected. One by me, and then you took Mission Impossible 3, the only one that most people would say not in his top 10, which means I have.
You got a lot of goods.
I really don't like
Mummy.
Plethora.
It's more trying to figure out what I might be able to somehow hold on to for my 4th and 5th picks later. So, well, let's go ahead and get one out of the way because this is for sure. This is my number 2. I think it's his actual best performance, and I think that it was because he went against type, and it was just something where it was like, whoa, Tom Cruise can be a villain, and Collateral.
No.
I mean. It's I mean, as a
maybe you didn't hear me when I said it works best when none of us choose the movies everybody else wants.
It's one of the best Los Angeles movies as someone who grew up in LA and misses home very much. It's one of those that makes me yearn to be back there, traffic or not. And him and Fox play amazing off of each other. I think that just setting most of a movie in a taxi cab is ballsy, and only Michael Mann could do something like that. But yo homie, is that my briefcase? That's up there among the best Cruise lines. All in all, I think it's just, again, him being the superhero essentially for most of his career, and then deciding, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna be a badass, just evil dude instead. I think it is what I wish we saw more of over the last 20 years. Like if he had done more Collaterals and less Mission Impossibles, as much as I love the Mission Impossible series, yeah. I'd be way happier because I get to see more of what this guy can really do. Again, happy we have all the Mission Impossibles, but this is what I want to see.
It's the James Cameron thing, and it's like, okay, you might like Avatar movies, but can you do something different? Because I want different James Cameron role films rather than just lots of them. I get that with the MI ones as well.
I want to see him play a villain more often. Yeah. He's so good in Collateral, and I really want to see him go full villain.
I mean, there's another one. Collateral rocks. Yeah. That's another one where, again, he plays seemingly older with the gray hair and all, and he pulls it off exceedingly well. Like he looks great in this movie. Like I love his look as Vincent. Like it's such a he looks like an actual wolf, like as
Mhm.
in human form. Like and it's very compelling. Um, this is a movie that I remember one of being the first movies that I like really tracked from like the get go, where like I knew what the script was and all these different actors are involved with it. You had Adam Sandler was going to be the Fox role for a long time, and
Mhm.
things changed hands, directors changed hands or whatnot. It finally became what it is, and it completely delivered on what I wanted out of it as far as being this kind of unique take on an assassin thriller. And it's just super fun to watch. Him and Fox have just such great chemistry in this movie, and the cinematography being uh, one of man's first like digital photograph films. It has such an interesting look to it. I love the it feels. I like the way man's described it is like it's like you're watching the third act of a movie that just kind of kicks off, and it's like that's a great way to like describe it. Like it's just you just get thrown into this random adventure and see how it plays out, and it's terrific performances.
I want to touch on what you said, Aaron. And I want to watch a film called Collateral Rocks, where Stacey Jacks is in the back of the taxi and he's going to Fox driving and it's musical. Let's have that movie, Collateral Rocks. Hell yeah.
I don't want that because the monkey would be in
So
it.
seeing as I can't pick oh, let's get the monkey in it. I can't pick Collateral. That was on my list. Thank you. Somebody didn't get the memo about picking our choices, did they? Oh no. I am going for 1988's
Oh, it's-
Cocktail. I love that
Stuart, you're
movie.
early. You're
Wait.
premature.
Ultimate. What do you mean I'm early? I thought it's me
No,
next.
No,
I get another
Justin
pick.
gets
It's not
Justin
the
gets
first
two
time in my
back to
life I've been
back,
called
and
that.
then Aaron's next.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Sorry, I'm just
that's
getting all
okay.
excited.
That's okay.
I'll pick another one.
Now you've tipped it off, and
Yeah.
Justin's all set to take
Huff.
Cocktail.
Well, I will say I'm not going to take Cocktail. I will say that
It'll be there for you,
Begrudgingly.
unless Aaron decides,
I do love Cocktail, and I will be happy to talk about it with you. I was hoping to get that in my last pick. But no, I'm not. There are far better movies than that still available, and I'm torn really because I'm there are four movies in particular that I would love to have right now. And I think they all represent a little bit of a different type of cruise that is available. And as much as I'm concerned about not getting a great Mission Impossible movie, I think I'm going to forego one at this spot. And instead, I'm going to take a movie that I keep loving a little bit more every time I see it. And it's the interaction between him and one of the all-time great actors and one of the all-time great directors. And strictly because of the Vince shirt, we're going Color of Money here. And I think that the Werewolves of London scene is now you can say, I mean, because before this, right, he had Risky Business, so he had the underwear scene, and maybe that comes up later, where the dance and everything. He had Top Gun, which bona fide blockbuster star. I think the Werewolves of London scene is the guess what, guys, I'm here. Like this is like he owns every ounce of that scene, and not and you want to talk about performing his own stunts, hitting all those balls in at the exact right moment, and just locking the timing down, and the singing and the dancing with the pool stick, and I mean, oh yeah, then there's also Paul Newman, and oh yeah, it's a Martin Scorsese movie. Like all that's still there as well. But as far as like young Cruise and like coming into his own, I'll take this over Top Gun. I'll take this over Risky Business. I'll take this over, you can even go in some of the other ones before that as well. I think this is the one where he arrives for real. And so even though there is a couple other Cruise movies I actually like better, I'm going here because of what it represents.
This is a friend of mine's favorite Tom Cruise movie by far, and I tend to chide him for it, not because I think it's bad, mainly just to get at him, but and also because I put it lower on my Scorsese list. But still, it is a very good movie star performance. I completely agree, and the kind of confidence he brings, the cockiness that he brings to it,
Mm-hmm.
it really it plays well here in a way where I think the way he uses cockiness in other roles isn't always as effective.
Well, we'll give him credit for being an asshat in this one too, and that's one of those things that we've just talked about. He needs more opportunities to be the less than sympathetic focus of the film, and somebody who's maybe more of a prick. And he does that pretty well in this movie. And that you're right, that scene is great. The pool scene in Werewolves of London.
Mhm.
You know, Aaron, now's your chance to get cocktail.
Go do it.
I'll
No,
do it for the Brian Blessed. Was it? Yeah.
Brian Brown.
Brown. Thank you, Brian Brown list.
Yeah.
I'm sure that draft's coming pretty soon too.
I'm trying to get
so many,
FX in, you
so many
guys.
choices. What do I want here? Again, I still have a lot of good picks. I feel like I need some action here. I just had a lot of drama so far. So let me really- um fuck it. I'll take Top Gun Maverick
There you go.
specifically. Um Top Gun is the first Top Gun is a movie that I have grown to appreciate, but I still wouldn't say is very great. It certainly has Tony Scott, and I'm a huge. I love. We could do a Tony Scott draft. I'd kill that easily. Like I love Tony Scott. Give me Tony Scott all day. Ridley's fine. Ridley's great, obviously, but Tony Scott's like if a Tony Scott movie's on, I will watch it. But that first one just never really did too much. Where I didn't grow up with it, so like it's just like yeah, that's a movie. It has some cool photography. Obviously, it has like iconic stuff in it. So the prospect of a Top Gun Maverick coming out after years of being like Top Gun 2, and I'm just like, why? They finally make this movie with Joe Kosinski
Yeah.
directing, who I generally like as a director, and like plus like the whole COVID thing knocks it back a couple years, and it comes out and it like rules. Like it's so inexplicably great as far as what it's doing. It takes everything about Top Gun and like not even twists it around, just like does it slightly differently and like makes it work. They're like making Tom Cruise into a mentor guy, but he still gets to fly jets everywhere. It's a wonder. The IMAX photography of the movie is spectacular, but like regardless of like the stuff around it, because the Tom Cruise draft, looking at Tom Cruise in this role, this is another one that I think really captures not only like Pete Maverick Mitchell and like that character and like shows what he would be like 30, 40 years later, but like again reflects on Tom Cruise's star power in this interesting way, in the same way all the Mission Impossible movies do. They all like because his career seems like so like autobiographical at this point. It's like this is a perfect summation of like what he does, where he could be a crusty old character actor by now, but no, he still wants to play in the sandbox and have fun and like do this thing and like lift everyone else up because of it. Like that's the metaphor of this movie, and I love it. I love that that's what he's decided to do. It's like, yeah, I'm going to take crazy risks. At the beginning of this movie, I'm going to fly an experimental jet at Mach whatever he's flying it at
10.
Mach 10. Don't go to 11, right? Or whatever. And he goes to 11 and he like pulls it off. It's the best. And then you have all this, he brings all these new people in. It's like, all right, you guys are cool, but I'm still Tom Cruise. I'm still number one. Like it's such like this movie doesn't need to be nearly as good as it is, and yet it's the kind of movie where it's like we're gonna tell you what the mission is and we're gonna show you it like 17 times, and then we're gonna actually show you the real mission, and it's gonna be as thrilling as you've ever seen it. It's like it's nuts. This movie works as well as it does. It's super entertaining. It just laps around the first Top Gun easily to me. It gives Val Kilmer a fucking tremendous final scene of like his choice. Like it's just like I couldn't believe how much given how much I'm like ambivalent towards Top Gun. The fact that Top Gun Maverick came out and just does not only like impressed me, but like the world was like, we agree, let's give it $1.5 billion. Like it's insane. So yeah, Top Gun Maverick is my next pick here.
Great choice.
I'm a huge Tony Scott fan. I again will watch Tony Scott films more than Ridley Scott films. When I heard that Tony and Tom were scouting locations for Top Gun 2, I'm like, oh, this will be good because it's Tony Scott, Tom Cruise. I love the original Top Gun. We lose Tony Scott. Then they still keep talking about Top Gun Maverick. I'm like, nope, don't want to watch it. It's not gonna be a Tony Scott film. Not interested. Then I went to see the film, and from the moment the Paramount logo does that dong, it had me in the palm of my hand so much, and I was along for the entire duration of the film. I went to see it with my partner, and when we'd finished the film, she said, "What did you think?" And I'm not exaggerating this. I couldn't speak for like an hour. I had that lump in my throat. I'm like, what has this film just done to me? It took me back to what it was like when you watched one of your very favorite films as a kid in the cinema. And I haven't seen many films as an adult that have done that to me. So much so, I bought the DVD as soon as it came out. I haven't rewatched it since because I don't want to watch it and go, yeah, it's still pretty good, but it doesn't quite equal that amazing feeling that I've got in my brain. And I haven't watched it since. I will do at some point, but amazing film.
What a credit to a dude
Not so
who
much for-
understands making movies for audiences. And it's so good.
Yep. So let me just throw out this. Do we all know the theory about what like could have happened in the movie? So
Go on.
There's a theory that in that opening Mach 9 actually goes Mach 10 scene.
Oh, I've heard this. Okay, go, yeah.
That Maverick dies. And that actually everything after that, the reason everything is so kind of perfect and he gets his resolution and kind of it all works out where he has to be the one to do the mission and gets to save Rooster and all this sort of stuff, that it's all because it's like this like, look, I know that's not what Joseph Kosinski was doing with the movie and certainly what Tom Cruise would endorse. But when you rewatch it, knowing it works.
I might do that again.
I love the idea of dream sequences that have elaborate, like film-like script writing level choices and whatnot. It's like, hey, he has to fail a couple times first.
Who else wouldn't but Tom Cruise?
He has to have trouble with Jennifer Connelly before he finally gets into bed with her. Like that's the way he'd imagine his life going.
She owns this bar, right? What does she do? That she has this beautiful Porsche. She has this bar. Like
she's the general's daughter. She's rich. They've established this. She's mentioned in the first one.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, Aaron. I think that I rewatched this as well, first time since the theater, and I thought it was excellent. It got better for me. Yeah, I think almost like the IMAX was overwhelming in the theater. Like it almost became like it's too much movie right now when it came out, and now to see it at home and to be able to kind of enjoy what we've had, that space and to come back to it, I think it hits on everything. I really agree.
There's that scene where what's his name, Charles Parnell, the black guy with white hair. Yeah, exactly that scene. That is what it is. The listeners can't see it. He did like he does like the fist, like he does it so calmly where like Maverick pulls off the like not even the real mission. It's the fake mission. It's it's the test. He does it by himself, right?
He can do it.
He sees it happen and he just kind of quietly goes, raises his fist in the air. It's perfect. It's
eat like shit, John Hamm.
Yeah. Even John Hamm, who's like, supposed to be the stick in the mud the whole movie, at the very end, he's like, Maverick. Yeah. And it's like he just recognizes that things are happening the way they need to happen. It's great.
Ham's just doing an Ed Harris impression. Like it's like the Ed Harris from the opening scene, like carries along into John Hamm so that he has to. It's amazing. You can tell Ham wants to crack a smile the entire movie because he's enjoying himself so much, but he can't because his character is supposed to be the that sort of a thing. And you mentioned Val Kilmer scene. That scene is just lights out, perfect. Like, and now that Kilmer's passed, it's like, I mean, Stuart, don't watch it, man. Like it's gonna kill you. It's not gonna.
It's gonna break me. Yep,
totally will.
So good.
Well, Stuart, we're not going to let you be broken because you're going to get to pick the film that you wanted to talk about earlier.
Yes.
I bet you're all wondering which film that is. Yeah. It's a surprise. It's The Mummy. No, it's not. I'm going Cocktail. It's a film that I saw. It seems I had the poster. I did. I had a big poster. Tom Cruise, just Tom Cruise on the poster. Where's Brian Brown? He wasn't on it. This was like the rise of Tom Cruise's face. That's what it was. I rented this several times. Go back to the video store, rent it, watch it, take it back, watch it again over months. Love it. I had the soundtrack, Wild Again, I'm chasing a bus down, all that sort of stuff. Amazing. Pure Tom Cruise just realizing that he is a box office gold after obviously Top Gun and just before some other films that also had his one face on the poster. But if I'm thinking ultimate Tom Cruise movies, I'm going Cocktail because he was at the height back in the late 80s with this one.
This has always been my number one guilty pleasure movie. I always clock it as that. You can say that if I use that phrase right, who knows? Who's judging? Yeah. But that movie is that for me. Yeah, let's see. I saw it in high school, and I think so. I was in drama in high school, and we were performing My Fair Lady. And there was a role for just wait. There was a role of a bartender, the bartender who throws out Eliza Doolittle's father from the bar at the opening scene. It's 2 lines. It's the only role that I auditioned for My Fair Lady because I wanted to be a bartender because I loved cocktails so much after having just seen it. Coughlin's Law, everything ends badly, otherwise it wouldn't end.
I had a job in a video store in the early 90s and then ended up working in video stores and owning them for years. And I learned how to video box juggle with the VHS cases. I could chuck them up, catch them by my hand, throw them across the floor. I was
behind your back, across the room, all that stuff.
Shake it to the left, shake it to the right,
all that stuff. Hippie shakes, all that lot.
This is a blind spot for me. This is one of the only films that my wife went to alone and I didn't see at all. You know, she wanted to see it. I said, "Well, I'm working," and she says, "Well, I'm going to go see it." I said, "Okay, well, help yourself," because I just had no interest in it whatsoever. I'm sorry that it it slipped past me.
I've heard no opportunities to watch it since.
Yeah, no. You know, I've not been motivated to do so. You know, I can listen to Kokomo on the radio.
I mean this.
Treat yourself, Richard. Treat yourself.
I mean this in a fun way, but this looks like the cocktail feels like a movie where if you had Tom Cruise like playing older, and he like an older actor, you'd look at like his like early list of films, and this would be like a parody poster you'd have. It's like, yeah, he played like a bartender once back when he was a younger actor. Like, yeah, it was silly. Like, I'm ambivalent to Cocktail. Like, I don't hate it. It's not a movie that I'm like, let me rewatch this. Like, it certainly has its charms. It absolutely represents Tom Cruise at a certain height because he's like, yeah, I'm working with Scorsese and Stone and Scott, both Scotts. I can do whatever I want. Here's a Touchstone movie where I'm a bartender.
It feels like the location is the driving force of this. Like, look at us in the Caribbean drinking.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm in for that for a quick 90 minutes. Listen,
absolutely.
Fine.
And Elizabeth
Wouldn't mind, like, if you're gonna pick a random thing from his past and let's sequelize for no reason, let him play the older bartender mentor now, and let's get a new young one of the huge slew of generic young white actors we have now. You know the names that I can't remember. Your Ansel Eggorts,
yeah, I'm sure Glenn Powell's waiting at
Miles
chomping
Tellers,
at the
and your any of those dudes. You slot them right in there, you're good.
Yeah.
Timothy Chalamet is going to be ordering cocktails for us.
You know what? Honestly, that I'd watch. Timothy Chalamet is a good choice. Put him in there. Let Tom Cruise suck the air out of that room.
Well,
yes,
Jeanette.
Now I want this. Sorry, got distracted by the
No, it's okay.
Cocktail 2 is still shaking.
That's it. Still shaking. I like that. Good subtitle.
Oh, man. Let's see. Well, you're going to be shocked to know I still have several things to choose from. Let's see. I'm gonna go further outside of the box. This could be a little debatable, but something I saw in the theater and was struck by, again, not by the Tom Cruise of it, by the other stuff in it. I'm gonna say Last Samurai. Because Ken Watanabe is amazing, and I think this was probably the first thing I saw him in. This is another dude who inevitably had a huge career probably elsewhere prior to. However, his introduction to American audiences, and again, Tom Cruise is in this, right? But he kind of is the framework around which a more interesting story is happening. And he's certainly good. He's certainly capable. I think a lot of people were turned off by the fact, well, I don't want to see Tom Cruise as the Last Samurai, but he's not. It's Ken Watanabe is the Last Samurai in this movie, and really holds it down in the center. And his stillness, again, allows Tom Cruise to be big on the outside edges. And I just enjoyed it. I thought it was well put together. Certainly looks very luscious and well put together. He also produced it. So again, you start to see that shift into where he elevates himself, for better or for worse. But yeah, I just remember really finding this movie, if not fantastic, then I loved it. Certainly interesting and spectacle. And I think that's kind of a balancing act you have to find when you look in. For me, when I look at Tom Cruise movies, did I love it, or was it certainly a spectacle that I was entertained by? And I think both are justifiable. And so this is definitely a spectacle that I was entertained by.
I think it's one of those films where if you found somebody who'd never seen, like, like a grandmother or something, who's like, who is this Tom Cruise person? I think Last Samurai is a really good film that you would go, watch this one. You're not necessarily going to go, let's watch Rock of Ages and Cocktail back to back. But I think Last Samurai would make a good case for, watch what this guy can do in a film that looks this good and has a music score that is this good and is really well directed, and also has Billy
I was
Connolly
going to say
in
it
it.
has
That's right.
Sean
There's
Connery.
Billy Connolly.
That's one of your
yes.
national icons, Billy Connolly. In it, so I mean, got that going.
Yeah. Yep.
There's a mid-movie ninja action sequence in this film that fucking rules. Like that's my main memory from Last Samurai. Like there's a beat where like Tom Cruise has been hanging out with Watanabe, and they're like, I think he finally has the respect of oh, what's his name? The other samurai, who's another great Japanese actor who I can't think of the name right now. But like Tom Cruise finally like on the ends, right? He's over his sake desires, which he yells constantly, "Sake!" He's yelling that a lot in this movie. But there's like this ninja scene there where like they try to come in and kill Watanabe, and it rules. It's like super tense. I remember seeing it in theaters. People were like, "Woo!" when it ended. It was great.
Every
Movie-wise,
movie needs a mid-movie ninja sequence.
Oh yeah,
Every
movies
movie.
would be so. But oh my god, if a few
Every
good
movie.
men like they stopped for a second, Demi Moore was like, "What's that?" And then ninjas came into the
Ninjas.
courtroom.
Cocktail.
Flawless.
Flawless movie.
Cocktail with
Yep.
ninjas. Yeah.
Oh
That's
yeah,
all we
Brian,
watched.
if he and Brian Brown were like, "Wait, what are we doing here?" Oh no, the ninja star hits like the can or something.
Listen, I'm gonna be very honest with you. We're gonna get the first stunt Oscar not next year, but the year after, right? For the stunt designer, which finally the SAG
Finally.
Awards have been doing it for a while. It's never aired, but if they don't have a squad of ninjas attempt to steal the statue while it's being presented and then use the stunt teams who have been nominated to fight the ninjas on stage, then I don't know what they're doing.
See, if Conan's still involved, I hope that can realistically happen. That would make me so happy to see. I like Last Samurai. Edward Zwick knows how to make sweeping films quite a bit. Like I really do. I really
That's
like
the word. Yep.
Blood Diamond is another one I really like as well in that regard. But no, Last Samurai is I've never seen it again in full since theaters. It's one I could rewatch.
It's too long.
It's a long flick.
It's too long.
I recall that. Yeah.
I agree completely. I had it like set out to watch, like, oh, I'm gonna rewatch that before the draft. 2 hours and 40 minutes, couldn't do it. Like it just so I have good memories of it, but I think I also have clouded memories of white savior-y type things.
Oh, yeah.
And,
It's that.
and so it's like there's a little bit of
that's there.
Yeah. So
It's not great.
Yeah.
Hiroyuki Sanada. That's the Japanese actor.
Oh, yeah, that dude.
Did you
So
remember that, or
good.
did you look that up?
I looked it up.
Okay, that's fair.
Which then he just parlayed that into Shogun.
Shogun.
Which
But he's
again,
great,
that
though.
dude, and I wonder if it would be interesting to hear him talk about that. Like he's been trying to make Shogun for so long that I wonder if he was thinking about that while being on set of The Last Samurai. Like, I still would like to make Shogun. Maybe someday.
Well, we've arrived at my next pick, and once again, I'm befuddled by the fact that there are so many things that I can still choose that I would have picked in the first round. Aaron got Top Gun Maverick. That was high on my list, and I'm gonna go ahead and go with Top Gun because that is the film that, let's face it, Cruise was a rising star, and then Top Gun happened, and he's been a star ever since. And it's a movie that has grown on me. I enjoyed it when I first saw it. I saw it in theater when opening weekend. It was perfectly fine, but I had students that worshiped that film. I mean, there were kids in my classes. I had one guy that's what he wanted to be called. That was his name,
Maverick?
Maverick. Yeah. So we just put his name on the roll sheet as Maverick. And
Nerd.
yeah, I thought that was a little over the top. Yeah, oh boy, big nerd, that kind of thing. But that movie had the same kind of effect that a lot of cultural touchstones do for people. My generation, probably, we're going to be talking about it in a couple of weeks. Jaws is the touchstone film of all time. But for people who came after me, I think Top Gun is one of those kinds of films that people say this is where they became interested in movies. This is where they first, fell in love with Tom Cruise. This is the kind of movie that they liked. And and like I said, it's grown on me over the years. One of the things that has helped is that I've always had it in a form that is better than you could possibly get I never bought the VHS. I got a laser disc, I then got the DVD, and then I got the Blu-ray, and then the 4. It's like every time I see it, I say that movie looks better and better, and I can't believe that it looks as good as it does. I don't remember it being that good, and it still is. So, and of course, it's got quotable lines in it. It's got great characters. You've got those moments, talk to me, Goose. It's just,
Slider,
uh,
you stink.
yeah. It's just one of those films that I think for a lot of people makes a difference.
Genre defining. I mean, there were movies like that before it, but it's the one that defined that type of genre. Is it military propaganda?
Yes,
Maybe.
absolutely.
Is it,
100%.
I mean, there's a lot of
Oh,
things you
yeah.
say about it, but it is genre defining. And for me, my favorite part of Top Gun is that we got hot shots.
Mm.
You wouldn't have had Hot Shots without Top Gun, that's for sure.
And you wouldn't have had Hot Shots Part 2 without Hot Shots, and that's
There you
that movie.
go.
That movie's fun.
And those guys were great at Wall Street.
I like I mentioned before, like Top Gun's not like I'm fairly ambivalent to it. I like it more now than I used to, but it is a quintessential like 80s blockbuster in the realm of what
Yes.
it's doing. It is so like it is fast cuts, it's big soundtrack, it's movie star performances from not just Cruise but everybody involved.
Mhm.
It is glossy, it's fast. It's all a bit like the speed, like the Feel the Need for Speed thing. It's like that's definitive of like what this era of movies is offering. It's like giving you something that's essentially music videos brought into cinematic form, like, and that's what it's doing. Like it is
Mhm.
so defining the era, as you guys are already saying. It is very much like if you look at like what's an 80s movie, you put Top Gun as like a picture of what that could be as far as in the realm of
Mhm.
like blockbuster cinema.
It's the Simpson Brookeye machine
Exactly.
in
Oh, yeah.
full speed ahead, isn't
Yep.
it? Yeah.
You pair that with Top Gun, The Breakfast Club, and maybe like Willow or The Princess Bride, one in that genre, then you've got the 80s in a very tight little package.
Well, like Indiana Jones and E.T. I mean,
Well,
so,
those
like,
I'm afraid those last farther than the 80s. Those
sure.
those are
Okay,
longer
and
than
that's a fantastic way to put it because correct.
Yes.
those
Yeah.
those are outside the
Yes,
True dat.
the shelf life, the half life of the other ones is apparent
Yes.
by
I like that.
comparison.
All right, and for my wraparound pick, I'm going to go with another film from the franchise that has been gone on. It's gone on for 30 plus years now, and I think it's just one of those things that it's. I was a huge Brian De Palma fan. I loved films that he made. There was a point at which everything he made I saw, and I saw over and over and over again. And I think that he was great in Mission Impossible. So I'm going to put Mission Impossible on my list next, the original film. I do think it would have been a good idea to keep rotating the directors. And this is a good reason why, because I think De Palma brings a lot of his, visual style to the film. There are a couple of sequences that are, look, everybody knows the vault scene and hanging on the strings, and they understand what's going on there. That sequence on the train at the end was fantastic, and even though it was, I know Tom Cruise does his own stunts, but I know he was not riding on the back of that
He would
bullet
now.
train. He would now.
He would
Would
now,
now.
yeah.
That's been my joke about that.
Yeah.
Don't tempt that man.
But that's a film that works really well, and it's funny because it was a complex. People bitched about that movie when it opened because it was hard to follow the plot. And
Yes.
if you're an aficionado of spy films or stories, if you read books that had stories at their essence, it made a little bit more sense to you. You understood what a mole hunt was. You understood the subterfuge that's going on, the way
A
the
knock list.
characters. Yeah,
The
and you
knock
get say, okay, I get it. The knock list is basically the MacGuffin of the piece, but it
Mhm.
it I thought I understood it from the very beginning, and it turns out that I did. I knew what the plot was. It made sense to me. I know a lot of people, like I said, they had to see it a second or third time to figure it out.
Mm.
But I think it's easily one that you could watch a second or third time and enjoy completely. And like I said, its success paved the way for the others. Now, that may not be a good thing for some of you, but for others, it's, I think, a golden path.
I will tell you that
Good
Emilio
choice.
Estevez taking the thing through the face at the top of that elevator has
Scarred you?
burned into my memory. And
Yeah.
whew,
Yeah.
It's good. It's a
Yeah.
good scene.
Yeah.
Um, Richard, I'd go one further and say the plot's incredibly easy to follow. It's just people apparently decided just to not pay attention when they're watching the movie.
That might be the case
Like it's
too. They're
when you
distracted
watch
by all the stuff that's
like
happening and they're not paying attention to what
even,
the story means.
even you saying knock list, they define it like 6 times in the film. They
Yeah.
say it's a list of all of our CIA people that are in the field. They say that
Yep.
over and over again. It
Yep.
is never like it really makes me wonder about attention spans when it comes to that. And now like either we've evolved or we haven't, because on the one hand we have something like Inception, which is also incredibly like detailed and thoughtful, but at the same time Nolan goes over and over the same plot details over and like that's not a hard movie to follow if you just choose to pay attention to what's happening. Mission Impossible, yeah, I saw when I was 10 years old. Did I find it difficult? A bit, as far as I'm young, so I'm not necessarily like, the spectacle certainly wowing me more than the details of it all. But when you sit down and watch that movie, it's like they're not trying to fool you in any way whatsoever. It is a movie that is designed to be blockbuster entertainment for everybody to watch, much like Top Gun. Like the fact that it's espionage, it's like, sure, okay, it has like tricky business because you're trying to like it's kind of a con movie and a heist movie and an action movie all at the same time. But
Mhm.
like it works. And yeah, I like Mission Impossible plenty. I like I like all these movies in this franchise. But this one, the De Palma of it all, and I'm not huge on De Palma the same way you are. Like I like a select number of De Palma films. By default, this might be one of my favorite De Palma films because I think it's really effective what it's doing. But yeah, and I used to watch the old Mission Impossible TV show with my mom, so I was pretty familiar with the beats of it. So the fact that like his whole team that Jim Phelps is dead, presumably, and then his whole team dies, like, well, this is a choice. Like this is a different direction to go. That threw me like through a loop as far as just I don't know what to expect from this movie now because it just did like the opposite of what Mission Impossible would do because Brian De Palma's like, I don't care about the TV show. I'm going to do my own thing because I'm cynical. And it's very fun. It's a very fun movie. And I'm very happy that the man in the vault, Richard Dunlow, comes back for the final movie. It's great. It's the best thing.
It also features maybe the best sexual chemistry between two characters, which of course is meaning for Tom Cruise in his career, which of course is Ethan Hunt and Max, played by Vanessa Redgrave.
You're not wrong. They have great chemistry.
Yeah, not wrong.
Tom Cruise has never reached that level of fire and fireworks between two people, besides maybe Ving Rhames, who also starts in this movie. And the bromance between Ethan and Luther carrying through the whole series is wonderful. But had to shout out Max and Max's daughter, who appears later with Vanessa Kirby in the later movies. You could tell she watched the first one.
I was gonna say he and her have more chemistry.
Yep.
On that kind of level compared to Ferguson or Haley Atwell or Michelle Monaghan. And I'm like, good for Vanessa Kirby for like seeing how that worked. Because it's not it's not obvious, it's not subtle, but it's like there's something there that's a little like unhinged that I appreciate. Yeah, the Redgrave stuff is very good.
Yeah.
There's something about it's there. But yeah, the
I
Redgrave
would
stuff's
counter
really
that
fun.
with I think that Tom Cruise's best sexual chemistry is between him and whatever thing is his giant stunt for the movie. Him and the Burj Khalifa, him and the big.
So when he's hugging that plane, you are having visions that are just not
I was like,
appropriate for a PG-13
I see
film.
it. I see what's happening.
We all
That's
were.
going to make it fun
We
for
all were.
Richard with his video YouTube thing. I can't imagine what he's going to roll with right there.
Well, that'll be the image that we have for sure. Jeanette, it's your turn.
I'm going to keep this discussion going. I was going to mention this later, but I'm going to go ahead with it now. Of the Mission Impossibles, a lot of them are good. Some of them are not. I think everybody has their own favorite. Again, man, I wish they were numbered because I genuinely, the ones in the middle, I know them by the stunt, right? And
Yeah.
I don't think that's a problem. I think that he's made an effort to up the stunts in each of them, and I like the ones where the stunts matter to the story. I mean, yeah, go ahead and jump your motorcycle off a cliff. Great, super impressive, but that had nothing to do with the story. You needed to get on that train, dude. You could have got on that train. But so what I'm
Benji
gonna
tried.
choose is because we just talked about the first one, let's talk about the last one. I'm gonna go with Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. Now,
Oh.
this is an odd choice. Let's see how to say this quickly. The giant super smart AI that's decided we're all expendable. I'm tired of it. I'm done with it. No one has done it as well as Terminator, and I don't think anyone ever will. So stop. I'm over it. The last Not this Mission Impossible. I don't even know. What number is Final Reckoning? Do we know?
8.
Eight. Okay, so 7. When it introduced, 7 might be my least favorite of all of them. When it
It's
introduced
down
like
there.
giant, the entity,
Mhm.
as it's referred to in this one, I was like, I can't even get involved. I'm so over this. It just makes no sense. And it's controlling Isai Morales. No, it's not. Give me a break. So that one was Haley Atwell was a breath of fresh air. I like his team. Again, it's an odd choice of it's trying to be, it's half an ensemble movie and half Tom Cruise movie. And really it's the ensemble is there to orbit around him, and that works fine in these movies. I don't have an issue with it. But this one, Final Reckoning, I think that I appreciated so much more had I not had the intense adverse reaction to 7, I might not have liked 8 as much as I did, because I think 8 was such a full reversal for me, and I liked it so much more. And I went in being like, fine, let's go see what they do with the entity. I don't know, the entity, whatever. But I loved the way the action mattered more to the story this time around. That's because I knew there was going to be a submarine sequence. And if you're at all mildly claustrophobic, and if you're at all mildly phobic about being under the water, and if you're at all phobic about being trapped in something underwater, submarines aren't great to begin with. But and God, that sequence must have been a half hour. It certainly felt like it, but I almost didn't mind. And as soon as he dives down to the Katie O'Brien, can we get on the Katie O'Brien train? Like, thank God for Katie O'Brien.
The gay submarine is great with Tramell Tillman and
Yes, the gay
Happy
submarine.
Pride.
Happy Pride, everyone. Tramell, and boy, did Tramell like give me 3 lines. I'm gonna make
That's
it
the chemistry. What are we
biggest
talking
meal.
about? That's the
Yeah.
chemistry
The
right
biggest
there.
meal.
Him and Tramell Tillman. Oh my God.
But the
Those guys are
instant
great.
he collects what he needs, Katie O'Brien's suit, where she's like, "You don't mess up my suit," which I knew as soon as she said that, I was like, "Oh no." But from the instant he gets down there, and whatever I have to get down in the submarine and get into this and grab this and then get back out under the Arctic ice. I'm like, none of this is going to go according to plan, but let's see what happens. It's a half-hour sequence in which this one man, who is our movie star of the last how many decades, goes down by himself into a submarine, in various rooms of a submarine. There's no dialogue. It's all visual storytelling where he has to get from one room, grab the thing, get back out as the submarine is rotating, falling off a cliff underwater. It should not work as a movie sequence. And yet for a half an hour, I was on the edge of my seat like, oh no. Oh no, Tom Cruise, watch out for those things as they fall around you. Quick, get to the torpedo chute so that you can get out. And oh no, now you have to take off the suit. Great. I loved it. They got me. I was all in on it. Fantastic. That sequence, and then again, my frustration with the previous movie of the motorcycle cliff parachuting sequence having nothing to do with anything else. The biplane business in this one.
Yeah.
When I tried to explain this sequence to my parents, who were like, "Do we need to see this one?" I was like, "There's a sequence, you guys."
Yeah.
The bad guy's on a biplane because the AI controls all the computers, so
That's
they can't
right.
use it. The bad guy's on a red biplane or a yellow biplane, and then he's got a henchman on it, and then Tom Cruise has to run to get on a one biplane, and then he has to chase down the bad guy. But then his biplane starts to fall apart, so he has to get from his biplane to another biplane, and he jumps biplanes, and then he's in the biplane, and then he defeats. You gotta see it.
And it's all real. He
It's
does
all-
it.
and it's all
He does
happening.
it all.
Yeah.
And
He actually
again,
did
another
that.
sequence that it's so long, but it matters to the plot. It makes sense in the movie. It's spectacular action. You can see that man hanging onto the side of a biplane. Fantastic. So for those 2 sequences and for the introduction of new characters, Nick Offerman, like he was great in the 0.3 minutes of screen time he had. Angela Bassett, always fantastic. This one really caught me off guard by how much I enjoyed it. And again, I think it benefits from the fact that I didn't like the previous one, like this one. Sorry, too long, but there you go.
Many people have said the Final Reckoning was too long as well.
Yeah.
So.
It is, but
I don't. I was there. I've seen it twice. I've
It's
never
okay.
not been bored by a minute of this movie. Like I get issues it has supposedly, but like it just doesn't rub me the wrong way. I'm with you, Jeanette. I wasn't. I still liked it, but I was let down by Dead Reckoning just because the preceding 3 movies were spectacular. So I'm like, well, this can't fail. And then I'm like, this one's a little lesser than by comparison. So like going into Final Reckoning, I wasn't like worried. It was just more of like, I hope it just does a little better than the last time. And it did. It knocked it out. I love the 2 giant set pieces of this movie that you talked about, I think are spectacular. Given that it's trying to have a sense of finality, whether or not that holds true, we'll see. But like, I like that it tries to give more weight to the things that are going on. And does that mean we're using flashbacks and heavy exposition? Sure, but again, it doesn't phase me in the same way that a lot of people seem to be like, oh, the first hour is nonsense. It's just flashbacks. I'm like, I don't care. Like, am I bored by this? Not really. I'm enjoying my time. So I don't know.
I
And I think
appreciate that if you hadn't seen any others, you can step into this one and they give you the
they give you
Mission
everything.
Impossible.
I've heard people complaining about this new one. Go, oh, the first hour is just storyline.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a movie.
And?
Get a grip. Pay attention.
I love the Ving Rhames scene with
Exactly.
him. That
Yes.
the one of their last interactions I think is really terrific.
Yep.
You mentioned the new characters. We got Tremel Tillman. I think is just so wonderful as the sub commander. Like it's just really good stuff. And
Hannah
Cruz,
Waddingham.
Hannah
So
Waddingham,
good.
like, Cruz is just he's in addition to doing the biplane stunts, he's still acting. Like he's being a silent movie star, and he's doing it really, really well. Like he's emoting during these scenes that's out there taking place, and it works. It worked.
Yep.
It shows just like he has no dialogue for the final like 40 minutes of this film, and it still shows just how committed and good he is at just making the screen cater to what he's able to bring to it. So good stuff.
Psychopath.
Exactly. It's psychopath behavior.
Pretty much. But we love it.
Yep.
Stuart, have you got a psychopath role for Tom Cruise, or you got something else?
No, I mean, you could say he's a bit psychopathic in this movie. I'm going back to the well of Tony Scott. I'm going back to 1990, and I'm going Days of Thunder. I love this movie.
Cruise.
Tom
like
Cruise,
thunder.
just his face on the poster. That's all we need. Cruise control or something like that, I think was the tagline. That is all you need. I played the CD on repeat. Yes, it's Top Gun with cars, but I love it because it's Top Gun with cars. Simpson, Bruckheimer, Tony Scott, Tom Cruise. Brilliant. Wheelchair racing, all sorts.
100% more Michael Rooker in this movie. It's a good thing.
Yes. Yep.
I like this more than Top Gun. I'm a fan of Days of Thunder. And that's not just me being like, oh, I grew up with one, so therefore it's better. I didn't see either of these in full until I was into my teenage years. So like I just like Days of Thunder. I'm not even a car guy. Like I don't care. Like I like jets more than cars, but I just like Days of Thunder. I think it works. Duvall helps.
Always.
He does. Yeah.
Another one of those films where he's got I shouldn't say an older actor, but that's probably what it is, an older actor that he gets to play off of, and gets a little bit of cred and a little bit more experience doing that, and Duvall is great.
I want to see him start doing that. I want to see him shift into mentor roles.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's kind of what Maverick was.
I was going to say that's kind of what
But then he
goal
took
of that
over.
was. Yeah.
So
Right.
like in a way
Started that way.
Yeah. But because only Tom Cruise can fix.
Well, Aaron, what is Tom Cruise going to fix for you?
Oh man, I'm so nervous right now.
I mean, I still have I have lots of good ones still.
Yep.
Can I get away with not choosing Mission Impossible?
No. Pick one
I
of
thought
them.
we all
like
had to have at least one.
But what I consider the 3 best ones are all still there. I mean, that's the thing. I'll go Avenge It Tomorrow. This one, it's not even like reliant. Okay, Edge of Tomorrow.
You just made my day.
What works about Edge of Tomorrow for me is how much it's able to sell the conceit and have fun with it, where the initial trailers for that movie really made it look like a dour experience as far as like, oh, it's a war thing with aliens and everyone's dying or whatnot. The movie itself is a blast. It's so much more clever than I think people expected. And by the time I think people caught on to it, it's already out and it's already it does well, but not it just costs a lot of money, so it doesn't do super well. But in terms of just what it offers, it gives you one of the better versions of a time loop story because it has this just really well thought out way of doing action and using that structure. On top of that, Tom Cruise, who I like that he plays a coward in this movie very specifically and has to
Yep,
grow as a character.
that is
So like
correct.
that's a pretty cool arc for him because it's leaning into his like cocky side at first and then it turns into him basically becoming a movie star. Like that's really what it matters. But in addition to that, he has Emily Blunt next to him being like, "Look how fucking
Yes.
badass I
Yes.
am." Like I'm doing like, forearms out, chin ups, one-handed and it's like she rules in this movie. Like, and Tom Cruise, who we've said many times, knows how to kind of use his persona and kind of be the center of attention. He lets her run him over a lot in this movie in a
Yeah.
way that you don't see often happen. He lets her take control and be the one that you're even more rooting for at various points because she just has the right kind of chemistry with him and the right kind of screen charisma where she can hold her own and clearly shows she's the veteran between the two and he's still learning and coming up in his own way. On top of that, I like aliens that don't look like every other alien that we've seen in movies, so this movie has that in spades. I like that
Hmm.
a lot because at this point we're getting a lot of variations on Cloverfield Monster, and it's like J.J. Abrams' the monster design is getting really stale for me after you see it once. You see it 17 more times in other movies produced or anchored by him in some capacity. So this one is like this is a weird like crazy demon thing that flies around in different ways. Cool stuff. Bill Paxton's great in this movie, one of his
That's
last
right.
roles. A real shame because I love
Mhm.
Bill Paxton, but like he at least gets to shine here, just doing his thing. It's like time loop movies are always fun because you have to have characters that you're going to see them over and over again, repeating their actions. So you need to make them all stand out in some way and make that compelling for 2 hours. And it does that. Like with Bill
Hmm.
Paxton, with the rest of the crew, which are largely there's Australian actors and other actors that like are largely not big names, but the fact that you're able to kind of distinguish these are these people, and I'm still enjoying watching them and their antics in the midst of having a Tom Cruise action movie going off. It works really well, and the action rocks. Doug Liman knows how to do action. He
Hmm.
he's I I he's he seems like a really fun director to be around that takes a long time to get things done, but somehow pulls it off more times than not. But regardless, he knows how to make action work. And for an expensive alien invasion sci-fi film, there's a lot of cool stuff in here. So no, I'm a big fan of Edge of Tomorrow. I'll throw that on the list.
I think that's a
Yeah,
very reasonable choice.
yeah,
You know,
that's a winner. I think it's I I'm glad you brought up the part of him being kind of weak and hapless and like
Uh-huh.
that, which is something we never see him do. And for him to do it kind of as long as he does, but then yeah, it's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy at the same time because yeah, it does work out well for him. The end, I think it's just it doesn't work for me, just that last 5-10 minutes. It just doesn't quite click. There are other ways I would prefer to have gone, and that's why it's not like a 5-star masterpiece for me. But I think that like that first
I
hour
can
and a
agree.
half, that first hour and a half is way better than I had remembered. I rewatched it for this, and it's excellent.
I
It
can
it
agree
was a
there.
great
Like,
movie to go in cold, right?
Mm,
Because it
oh, for
was a
sure.
surprise on almost every level.
yeah. All right, Justin, you lucked out. You've got two choices now, and it
amazing.
sounds like you're happy with it. We didn't pick something.
Oh yeah, the board could not have fallen any better for me. By the end of this, I'm gonna have 5 picks. The end of these next 2 picks, I'm gonna have 5 picks, and they're all in my top 6 of my all-time cruise movies. And yeah, it's unbelievable. So I'm gonna take a Mission Impossible. I tried to resist it, but I don't think I can because Fallout is legit one of the best action movies ever made, and to get it this late is insane. I think that it is one of the single most rewatchable movies, not just of Cruise's career, but of all time. I think you can kind of come in at any point and you're like, well, shit, I guess I'm gonna watch the next hour of this. I mean that last 45 minutes in particular, just the entire scene where he ends up doing the helicopters and then the fight with Cavill and stuff,
Mm.
untouched. I mean, it's they were able to use the weight of Richard's my favorite number 3 of having Julia there and just having again that human side of Ethan and knowing what he wants to accomplish and used the great addition of Ilsa Faust from 5, which I almost took here. Bringing her in more into 6, and just kind of like it kind of was the culmination. And to me, like that is like where it's the peak of the franchise because I'm not as big of a fan of 7 and 8 of what they've done with the Reckoning movies. And so like this is just elite action filmmaking that just never stops from the beginning. So easy choice for me and I'm so grateful to have it at this point.
This one was great, and one of the best uses of Henry Cavill. I feel like when Henry Cavill showed up, a lot of people were like, "How do we use this available asset?" And I think this is one of the best uses. And this movie and maybe Man from U.N.C.L.E., I was like, yeah, maybe this dude should be playing James Bond.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's 5 years late now.
He's too
Yeah.
big.
He's a little old.
That's
Yeah, he is
too
big.
for James Bond.
Yeah, he is big.
He can cock his fists though.
Yeah,
like
I love that.
That's for sure.
That's
I
it. That's a
love
great
that.
sequence.
Loved
Yeah,
it.
It's great.
It made no sense, and I was all over it.
It also
That
creates a
that gif of
pocket.
him doing that over and over again. Yes.
All right, Justin, what's your wraparound?
I mean, it's peak Cruise working with older actor, getting kind of that like whatever lessons you might learn from one of the all-time greats, and in a scene where Nicholson owns the entire scene, Cruise absolutely stands up and holds his own in A Few Good Men. And I think that, a lot of it is what makes the movie great is all the little stuff, right? With him and Demi Moore, and I'm completely blanking on Kevin Pollak.
Kevin Pollak.
And yep, and like all that, and like the actual like case stuff, right? And like all the things that like build to that scene. But then that scene alone, if you just kind of like bottled that scene, you'd have a top 10 Cruise movie. Like it just he has the swagger, that Color of Money swagger that I love, that Top Gun swagger, that like he has that, but you can also kind of see just where he's not, like there's that confidence might be lacking, but then as soon as he gets that in from Nicholson, it's on, and that scene is just electric. And great Rob Reiner movie, just on a absolute heater right now for him through this time period.
Yep.
Yeah, and yeah, this is a banger, and to get it again, thank you to the amazing. You guys are my team. You are my mission team, and you have produced this. I couldn't be happier. With where I'm at right now.
That movie has so many. First of all, if you're ever playing the Kevin Bacon game, it is the keystone, right? Because
Yeah.
it connects to so many people in so many different areas. It is great. Also, it was that weird stretch of 3 or 4 movies where Michael DeLorenzo gets killed immediately. There's a bunch of them. Judgment Night is my other favorite one, but yeah, man.
There's so you were speaking of like 6 Degrees basically, right? And like Noah Wiley, I believe, appears in the beginning. Who
Kiefer Sutherland.
Stuart doesn't not look like Noah Wiley as I'm sitting here staring at him.
I will happily bow to the poor quality of my webcam to take that compliment. Yep, I'll be all right with that. I feel like I've been in the pit for like 18 episodes. So, in a good way.
Exactly.
It's also nice with A Few Good Men, though. I remember there's a studio story where they were like, so there's got to be a scene in it where Tom Cruise sleeps with Demi Moore. And they were like, no. And they're like, well, why is she in it then? And they didn't bow to the crappy studio pressure at that time to go, there must be a romantic scene in this thing. And they didn't. And the film, I think, benefits from that. I think it's like you said, it's a banger of a film. I haven't seen it for years.
This is the other one I watched.
I will be soon.
When I was reading all the Tom Cruise quotes, I'm like, I want to watch A Few Good Men right now because you got Sorkin dialogue, so it's gonna read and sound great. And yeah, I like this movie plenty. I do agree. Like as far as he brings I think he does the cockiness thing better in Color of Money, but then like the way the movie's structured, it's like purposeful. I'm here nor there on how effective Cruise is on making that arc work, but in terms of like when he does decide to bring it, it works really well when you have to go against Jack Nicholson. Like it's I think this movie's great. I have issues with I think the audience is too well aware of everything going on for it to be suspenseful. Cause it's like, well, all you have to do is like say a couple things, and this there's no real mystery behind what the tactic is. You just know the tactic, and you're just waiting for it to happen. Regardless, it's so well scripted as far as I just enjoy hearing these people talk that it doesn't really bother me too much.
That's right.
And yeah, we have all these great actors around them and everything. There's some great just show off standoff scenes between him and like people on the stand. Like Kiefer Sutherland's a great example of that, or the one doctor that comes in. Like there's some really really good scenes that are just like Sorkin just on fire with what he's
That's right.
trying to offer here. So
It's some great drunk cruise too, where he has to
There
pretend
is good
like he's,
drunk cruise.
where
There
he's
is a good
actually
drunk
pretend,
cruise in
he has
this,
to
yeah.
pretend that he's actually drank alcohol before. It's wonderful.
Aaron, it's your turn now.
Tricky spot because again, there's Mission Impossible's on the table, including still my favorite one. I've chosen not to choose it, but it does come down to Cruise. I'm trying to lean on performance. That's my main thing with my list here. That's what I've been trying, and I don't think he's bad in Mission Impossible movies. I think Fallout probably is his best acted work in a Mission Impossible movie. But I'm gonna go Rain Man because I think he's tremendous in Rain Man. Like it's easy to look at Hoffman and think like that's the performance because it's very big. It's Rain Man. Cruise has the unenviable task of playing the straight man to Dustin Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman, an actor who commits, and Cruise is there having to equal up to him. And I don't know a better like straight man performance to bounce off of someone that's playing it that big on the other side of him offhand. Like it's such a really well controlled piece of acting business that I do think speaks to Cruise's ability as an actor. It's one thing to play movie star. It's one thing to be, the biggest thing on the screen and like have a sense of charisma. It's another thing to play basically an asshole who discovers he has a brother and has to go on a road trip with him and somehow make that work and be just as compelling. I don't think this movie works without Cruise being next to Hoffman. If it's just Hoffman, it becomes I Am Sam, a terrible movie. And it's and so if you have Cruise there to like balance that out, be a good sparring partner in a road trip movie. That is a lot of fun. Like Barry Levinson does a great job with this film. It's a really fun movie to watch that, yes, has stakes in terms of family drama or what have you, and it has a bit of dramatic business involving the backstory, involving them and everything. But in terms of just like the essence of what this is, it's fun to watch these guys pal around, but it also is, again, no real frills, so it depends on the performances. And I know there's been reassessments of Hoffman just in the realm of today as far as how we take on performances from actors that don't actually on the spectrum or what have you. I don't think Hoffman's any less good because of what we could have done or would have done or should have done. But at the same time, Cruise does not have to operate on that kind of, he doesn't need to be called out for that kind of thing. He's just playing a character. And he does, I think, a tremendous job here. I think he's and this is the same year as Cocktail, I believe, and it's just I think a really really strong performance from an actor that was taking chances at that time, and this is one where he's like, I'm gonna downplay the big grin that makes it okay to like me, and instead play a character that could be seen as unlikable, and then find a conscience as I go through this movie. So it's a good film. Rain Man I think holds up really well, especially when you keep in mind the context of the time and why it could work as well as it does.
It's interesting hearing you mention that and then mention I Am Sam. It just reminds me of a quote from Tropic Thunder, which I
was
think we
gonna say
all
that.
know. That
Yeah.
it's fine. It's
I was
fine.
gonna say that without saying that.
Yes, moving on.
All right, well, if we're moving on,
You know you want to say it, don't
So
you?
funny.
if we're moving on, it's Stuart's turn.
It is. We have talked about Tom Cruise playing against some legends like Nicholson and Paul Newman and stuff. He plays against legendary Gene Hackman in 1993's The
Nice.
Firm, based on the John Grisham book, filmed by Sidney Pollack. I love this film so much I didn't bother watching the TV series that was made years after redoing. I'll stick with the movie. Mitch McDeere gets a nice job. Big paycheck. Oops, I'm working for the mafia. And we're along for the ride. There's a really good cast in this. Gene Triplehorn, Hal Holbrook, Terry Kenny, if you're a fan of Oz.
Holly Hunter.
Holly Hunter's in it. Yeah, Gary
Holly
Busey. No, it's
Hunter.
not.
Gary
Busey's in it as well for a little bit, isn't he?
Like you're not
Yeah.
playing crazy.
Yes, he is not playing crazy Busey. I love The Firm. What more to be said than that? Great film. I haven't seen it for a lot of these films. I haven't seen for years because there's just too many films coming out nowadays. But I do need to revisit a lot of these Tom Cruise films, I think. And
I
this
think
will be
The
one
Firm was very high on my list. It's a lot. It maybe didn't start the Tom Cruise running, but I feel like the running has certainly became a thing.
It's a sleeper running movie for Tom
Sleeper
Cruise for
running.
sure. And you have big bad Wilford Brimley in here. I mean,
That's
there's
right.
just a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Great
Was
Wilford
huge.
Brimley.
I don't think people recognize how huge The Firm was. That movie made a
Mhm.
shit ton of money.
Yeah.
In the summer of Jurassic Park, it made a ton of money. It was so big.
For a
It kicked off-
2.5 hour drama about tort law.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
It kicked off the whole Grisham thing because
Yeah.
like that that became
Yes.
for the 90s. You had Pelican Brief and Time to Kill,
the
and
client.
The Chamber, the clients,
Rainmaker.
yeah, like
Yeah.
so it was it
And then it stopped. Where's the Grisham train gone? It's like it needs to come back.
it
Does it?
stopped with Runaway Jury with
Yeah.
Gene Hackman again. You're losing me, my jury. That's a
Gingerbread Man, Kenneth Branagh. Yeah.
Kenneth Branagh doing an accent.
Mhm.
Well, Jeanette, we're getting
Yeah.
closer to the end here. What can you find?
Well, I think a lot of the stuff that I had on my list has started to disappear, which is as it should be when we get to these couple of rounds. Just looking at what I have here, boy, there's a lot I don't want to pick.
Oh, we're doing 6. I still have one more.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
Yeah.
I thought we were doing 5. No, we're
I completely
doing
forgot about
6.
this.
Sorry.
It's coming back around, Aaron.
The Mummy.
The Mummy is not on my list because it was just, yeah, I tell you, the part of the Mummy I liked is where they found the book from the first Mummy movie. That's what I liked. Acknowledging that great movie happened, it just gives you a reason to go rewatch the Brendan Fraser Mummy. Man,
I
Arnold
like when
Bosley
Jake
was
Johnson's like,
fantastic.
"Thanks for bringing me back from the dead, man."
Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and go. I'm gonna say War of the Worlds, which ironically was a movie I didn't enjoy that much watching, but Tom Cruise does center a lot of craziness, and it is a Spielberg movie,
Mhm.
and Tim Robbins is great in his sequence,
Oh,
and it did
oh sorry.
give you one of the best parts of the Universal Studios backlot to where like that crashed airplane was there for a long time, and it's so fun to drive through that and see it.
Yeah.
I did feel like there was a part of this movie, and I'd have to rewatch it to remember, but it was them leaving a house or going into a house where I was like, I feel like I see the edge of the soundstage, guys. I expect more from Steven Spielberg on this. But it was so interesting and maybe not a story we needed redone. It worked as a radio play in the 30s, 40s.
30s, I think.
Yeah,
30s, yeah.
it was an
1938.
interesting, like an extremely ambitious idea. So I don't know that this is on here because it's a good movie or because it's a recognition of the ambition involved, and the set pieces are very impressive.
The first hour of War of the Worlds is some of the best filmmaking Spielberg's done in like the 2000s. Like it's so compelling. The aliens are legit scary to watch.
Yep.
Tripods dust people. Like it's
Yes,
so like
the dusting, yes.
it's and like there's what the ferry sequence where you see that
Yep.
that great shot of the tripod on the hill and the silhouette from the moonlight, and it's like coming down to like get all these people on the ferry. There's like the couple car chases. There's that scene where the train goes by and it's on fire. And it's like really
Yep.
evocative. There's so much tremendous, and I like Tom Cruise as like not deadbeat, but like work, like blue collar dad, barely
sucks.
divorced dad. Yeah, he's basically sucks.
Not a
His
great dad, yeah.
kid doesn't care about him. Dakota Fanning still kind of idolized. Like, there's a lot of good stuff in there. Tim Robbins brings that film to a fucking halt for me.
He's in a different movie.
Oops.
He is
He's
in that
100%
movie.
in a different
It
movie.
feels like there's like a 2-hour film of him just like being crazy man inside of this other 2-hour movie. Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
It careens down a hill for me. I don't like the second half. I don't like
Mhm.
the ending. I don't
Yep,
care how
I would
thematic or
agree that it
symbolic
does
it's
not
supposed to
end well.
be.
Yeah.
But that first hour, oh man, it
A lot of
rules.
great set pieces. Very ambitious, a lot of
And the
great set
sound is
pieces.
tremendous. The sound design of that
Yep.
movie is spectacular. Oh
It's
man.
a technological masterpiece. Whether or not it's a great movie, that's for debate.
I like the speed at which I remember like they got the green light. They're like, we're gonna do this, and Spielberg and Cruise just like hammered it out in like less than 9 months, and it was like, okay, good job, guys. Jeez. Like,
I think the post 9/11 of it all, now
Yeah.
20 years later, is makes it a little better to me, because it's kind of unbelievable that Spielberg was able to make a reflection on that day, essentially, through an alien invasion movie, and that it was a giant blockbuster with Tom Cruise in it. I think is pretty spectacular. I think that the single shot that will stay with me forever is the video camera falling and then shooting through the video camera as you see other people dusted when they're first running in that opening scene. I think that Spielberg showing us viewing the annihilation of these people through a screen is something that is pretty relevant then and somehow still prescient. But I think it's really, I agree with the ending. I think the ending is choppy. I think we all agree that Robbie should have died. Like, and the fact that he doesn't is just a huge slap on the wrist to the movie, because there's no reason he should have lived. But I think that the Robin stuff, which has its moments, allows for two things. It allows for Spielberg to redo the kitchen scene from Jurassic Park, but with
less good.
Yeah, exactly. Still great. Like
the world's most curious aliens, because they really seem to want to inspect this shed a lot, and I'm like, why?
Yeah. And then it also gives us the imagery of him opening the door and doing the little Wizard of Oz homage, but with all the red vines and everything like that. You get some really great visuals.
That's a good shot for sure.
Yeah, I think the Robin's character, which I mostly lean more towards Aaron on this, but like I think he's like just a representative of a certain group of people who came out of 9/11 feeling like we got to get into some bunkers, and like I think that there's a place for it. I think it was just a 30-minute scene when 5 to 10 probably could have pulled it off.
Way too long. Yeah.
So, but I think it's great. I think I rewatched it for this, and I think it really holds up. I think it's actually better now than it was when it came out, and I think that that's just the magic of Spielberg and Cruise. So I applaud it.
You guys had a lot of time to rewatch stuff. Jeez.
I was thinking the same thing.
When did we, with this email, right? This email came out like 3 months ago. When did we?
Oh, yeah, the original.
I guess, yeah, if you're
2
putting
months.
it that way.
As soon as you said you're in for this, I started throwing movies on. I think I've watched 15 or 16 over the last couple months.
I did not.
I've been all in on this.
Impressive.
Fair.
I did not have that.
We've been spending the past 2 months watching Magnolia. We're nearly finished. We're nearly finished Magnolia.
Excellent.
There's frogs falling for some reason, so we're nearly there.
Go. Good stuff, Stuart.
Well, I can finally say that as I'm getting to my pick here, that people have chosen films that I was going to pick in the last two spots. Damn you.
Oh, no.
Yeah, War of the Worlds and The Firm were definitely on my list, and I would have chosen them had the opportunity come up. That doesn't, however, mean that I have to choose something else. And you know what? The dream is always the same. I'm going to go with Risky Business. Yeah.
That's mean, Richard. That was on my list.
Well, it's young Tom Cruise. Well, he's still, an adolescent sex object. He's dancing in his underwear. That's the iconic scene that you get. But it's also about a kid who's trying to figure out what his life is going to be and struggling to find. And there are great characters in it. His buddy, the line that always. It isn't a Tom Cruise line. The one that always gets me is when he exclaims, "Guido the Killer Pimp is after us." It's like I just laugh at the thought of that. And the movie was funny, and it also has some poignant moments to it, and it also has a great train scene. So we had a Roll Your Own last week on the and one of the themes that one of the people picked was movies that train scenes, and I'm going, oh, all right, we're going to get Risky Business on this? No.
No.
Yeah, Risky Business rocks. It's a great postgraduate movie as far as young people figuring out what they're going to do and what the complications of adulthood or what have you. It's a good early Cruise performance. Like, I think by default it's his best early Cruise performance as far as I don't know, pre-87 maybe.
Yeah.
But no, I've Risky Business, which I got Criterion recently released on 4K. I was happy to rewatch it because it's a fun movie to watch. Good Joe Pants, and there, never Joe Pants. There's never a bad thing when Joe Pants enters your movie. But just great, like a lot of like proto Cruise stuff as far as the things he would become known for, as far as the smile, the way he laughs, the way he's able to kind of use an image to do a lot with a little. Like there's a lot of that.
Sunglasses.
Sunglasses. Yeah, just the way he kind of like he's forming his star. I think is really interesting to watch in this movie.
The poster is his face.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
talked about this one a couple of times already. All right, and for my last pick, finishing off our draft here for me, I'm gonna pick something that's probably controversial. It was controversial when he was cast in this particular film.
Oh.
Sometimes you just have to say, "What the fuck?" I'm gonna go with Jack Reacher, the first film.
Good choice.
The second one
Yeah.
is crap.
A major disappointment.
Oh yeah,
Because Jack Reacher is so good, and the
I
second
agree.
one is like, what happened? How'd you get Edward
Yeah,
Zwick and fuck this up? What
I
happened
don't
here?
understand that at all. What happened was such a disappointment. And I thought that, look, everybody bitched about it. Tom Cruise is whatever he is, 5'7", and Jack Reacher's supposed to be 6'5" or 6'6", some ridiculous height like that. And,
Right.
so everybody was squawking about it. But he played him like an authoritative military guy who knows his stuff and knows how to handle things. And it's attitude and acting that accomplishes that, not the physical size in that movie. And I liked the plot. I liked what's his name showing up as the bad guy. The director,
Werner Herzog.
Werner
Oh my
Herzog.
god.
Oh yes.
This whole series should have been more directors playing villains in this movie. Terrence Malick should have been in the second Jack Reacher. Like it would have been amazing.
Yeah, there you go. They could have done that.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's great. I actually haven't watched the second just because everyone says it's such a downturn from the first. And I think the height thing, being a fellow 5'8"er, I think that, that scene where he gets brought out into the street with the 5 bullies and stuff, and they try and I don't think that scene works if he's 6'5", 300 pounds, because what 5 guys at a bar are going to try to pick a fight with that guy, right? Like they are going to try to pick a fight with Cruise, because look at him. Like even when he film him standing on a box and he's whatever, like he's still not like that intimidating, but he kicks their ass. And I think that like a lot of what that first movie does works because he isn't gigantic. Now, whether that's true to the character of Jack Reacher, I don't give a shit because I didn't read the books. But like for people who did, I can understand. Oh, that's not my Jack Reacher. But like
They've got Ripson. They've got
Have you watched the series, Justin?
No, I have not.
It's good.
I will say it's very effective.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
I will say like they're just different things, even though it's the
That's
same.
it.
But
They are different.
But the fact that he's a bigger guy doesn't discount the way they use that size and in relation to people that constantly try to get their own on him. That said, I think this movie rocks. I think what rules about Jack Reacher is it shows just how well McQuarrie and Cruise can work together and make something magic when they want to. Like I think it's very effective. Well, McQuarrie, especially in like a movie like this or his first film, The Way of the Gun, which is a favorite film of mine, he knows how to make violence feel real if he wants to. And the opening of this movie with Jai Courtney sniping people from a distance is terrifying.
It's dark.
It's really dark to watch. And even as it goes along, and yes, some of the violence is more comedic as far as the structuring of it goes, it still looks like it hurts. When Tom Cruise is like fighting in a bathroom in this like nonsense buffoonery happens between the two guys trying to beat him up because there's like a small space. Like there's still people like getting elbows broken and stuff. But like it doesn't it doesn't look like it feels good to have that happen. That said, the coolest thing in Jack Reacher is that whole car chase that's like him and David Oyelowo and like the cops. And there's that bit where he's lost them, and so he like gets out of the car's still going down the street.
Yes,
he just walks up to the bus station. People are watching like what's happening, but they're like immediately they're like, we're on his guy's side, he's great. And like gives him the hat to hide himself. It's the best. It's such a fun thing that speaks to like we just inherently seem to want to trust Tom Cruise.
Well, is it something it's an older black man too, so it's just a little like anti police, just like, hey, I'm gonna go with the guy who the police are chasing after.
The people who are chasing. Like there's it's just a very fun sequence for sure.
Yeah.
I do
Good
feel like
cast
the
in that
success
movie,
of that movie definitely led to the TV show is good, and I think it would not have worked as well as it does had that movie not been as good as it was. I think and Richardson certainly has timed it perfectly in the scope of his career.
Yeah.
In that he's been fine for a long time, but thanks to a lot of therapy and a lot of self-searching and being willing to work on himself, like he has really stepped into that role and owns it to the point where he can now acknowledging Tom Cruise and the work that he did to bring that character to the. Not everyone had read the books. Not everyone was familiar with the books. Tom Cruise put it out there, and that allowed Richardson to really step in. And that TV show is a fun bit of action that you
Nice.
can stream on Prime. That's great. Yeah.
Nice advertisement.
Jeanette, what's your final pick going to be?
Am I allowed to pick
I know what you're gonna say.
The Mummy. Of course you are.
No.
The Mummy?
Go for it.
The uncredited cameos
Uh-huh.
Oh, yes.
because
You got Young
of
Guns.
yes, because of the
Uh-oh.
reason Tom Cruise wanted to be in Young Guns. And I think it's the reason we all enjoy Young Guns is that Tom Cruise had, to that point, not been in a Western, wanted to try a Western. His friends were in a Western, wanted to show up and be in a Western. They let him be in a Western. It's a very cheesy Western, but it's an effective Western, and I think it's a fun movie. So I kind of want to pick Young Guns and go with it.
Do it.
You're good.
Young Guns.
I had
I-
never seen
yeah.
Young Guns until the 4K came out last year, and I got it to review, and I watched it, and I was like, "This is far more effective than I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mhm.
does the job." And I
Absolutely.
wasn't trying to make fun of Amelia earlier, but like when you look between the two of them, like yes, you choose Tom Cruise. That said, Amelia is very good in Young Guns. Like he does the job. Young
Yep.
Guns 2 is also a movie I watched.
Exactly.
Good.
No. We don't
Yep.
need to talk about that one. That one doesn't have Tom Cruise in it. This one does. That one has John Bon Jovi in it.
Yes.
This this one is and it's the tightness of the ensemble, the effectiveness of the piece. Westerns are a trope that have been, will be, and will continue to be. That trope is never going away. It's an effective piece of storytelling when you use it correctly. This one could have been a throwaway based on the cast and the Brett Peckiness of it, and the fact that a lot of them had a lot going on at the time. But they all kind of work in this story and they work well together. And Tom Cruise being friends with several of them, I'm curious if he's still friends with the Sheen Estevezes or if he's not. You know, it's tough with all the personal stuff in the Tom Cruise-ness of it. Does he have friends? Does he exist as a real person? Is he only Tom Cruise, the movie star, and then he goes into cryo sleep when he's not making a movie? That's a possibility. We don't know.
There's a
But at this point, he was friends with those dudes. They were making this movie. He was like, I've never been in a Western. I would really like to try that. And they were like, yeah, come on by. We're going to shoot you in this scene. Casey Siemaszko will blow you away or whatever. But listen, it's a very effective, quick little Western. Jack Palance is great in it. Charlie Sheen wears a hat through the whole movie so that you can't tell he's Emilio Estevez's brother in real life. Is that an effective ploy? Who knows? They have basically the same face if you get past the hair. But again, Kiefer Sutherland is amazing, and Lou Diamond Phillips, once again, taking his Filipino-ness into every aspect that he can, plays a Mexican Indian in this movie. Great range. It's fun.
Great film. Yeah, that's in my top 200 favorite films of all time. Yes, I do have a list, and Young Guns proudly sits in there. Second one, not so much, but still good.
Second one is also a movie. It adds Christian Slater.
It's good.
Well, Stuart, I have no idea what other films you're going to be picking for your last pick. I doubt that anything is in the top 200 list that you've got, but let's find out.
One of them is, but yeah, it's not the one I'm picking. I am going to 2008's Valkyrie by the now go away Bryan Singer. But the film's still very good. This is one of the team ups of Cruise and Macquarie, and Tom Cruise plays Colonel Stauffenberg, I believe, Klaus von Stauff. Who knew? You know, when you heard the film's coming out, you're like, oh, Tom Cruise is going to play this German who tried. You're like, how does that work? I think they handle the transition of why isn't this film subtitled and why isn't everybody speaking German wonderfully, because it fades from the German to the English, and then we're off watching an American film about. And it works.
That transition
I
is
think
always
Cruise is great.
effective.
I think it is.
I
I think it's one of those films when people rattle.
Sorry.
All of them. I think when people go down the list of Tom Cruise films, Valkyrie, for some reason, isn't one that gets talked about very often. People too busy banging on about Cocktail and The Mummy. Yes, that's me. It keeps waving that flag. But yeah, Valkyrie, great cast, great film. Haven't seen it for a long time. Need to rewatch it.
I was just gonna say about the language thing. Yeah, I frankly find it silly when there are films involving characters that are speaking English when they wouldn't ever be speaking English, and we just don't make the excuse that a movie like Valkyrie or Clear and Present Danger or Hunt for Red October does. It's like, yeah, we just fade it. We zoom in, zoom out, and then they're all speaking English in their own accents. Who cares? Like, I don't.
Yeah.
It bugs me especially because it's like, why would they have a German accent if they're not going to speak German? Just let them have their own accent at that point. It's just like, what's the Ridley Scott figured this out? He's like, yeah, who fucking cares about accents? It doesn't make any sense. They'd speak in Roman.
It's effective.
Or Latin. Like,
Oliver Stone in Alexander, he's like, I don't care. Let Colin Farrell be Irish.
Like,
I don't care. Just
fine.
fire
They're not
arrows.
Would you?
speak
And like
English.
Val Kilmer's like, I'll be Irish too. All right, calm down, guy. Calm down.
Valkyrie is a movie I had more hopes for. I don't think it's bad. It's just more. I thought it had more potential than it reached ultimately. That said, there's good stuff in it. It's got a cracking cast. I think you'd say. I think it really it's a great list of British actors, and Carice Van Houten's in there, and Kretschmann's of course in there, but Branagh and Nighy, like, yeah, all this. Even the issue of, well, we know he doesn't do it or pull it off. That's not really the point of the movie, and I like that it tries to figure out like ways to make that compelling. And I haven't seen it since 2008 at this point, so I can't think of my specific issues anymore beyond just I know it wasn't one that hit me as hard as I wanted it to. But still, it's an interesting choice for him, especially to be like, I want to do this. I want to do something different for a change. Let me get out of action mode for a second, make like a thriller. So,
Well, Aaron, is your final pick going to thrill us?
Yeah,
oh yeah,
take your Mission Impossible, man.
oh, that's what I'm doing. Obviously, that's what I'm doing now. Like, I still have it there. Rogue Nation is my favorite Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah,
But
that's
easily, easily is a little strong because Fallout is like right there next to it. But Rogue Nation, the first directed Mission Impossible from Christopher McQuarrie, I think is tremendous. That's the one I think is one of the best. If we're not like looking at like Fury Road and other things, I think Rogue Nation is a tremendous piece of like huge blockbuster Hollywood filmmaking at its finest.
Yeah.
It gives us a lot of great things that were introduced to the series. Ilsa Faust, Rebecca Ferguson's character, this amazing Hitchcockian opera sequence, I think, is just one of the standout set pieces of all Mission Impossible movies. Obviously, the plane stunt is amazing, and just a great rug pull as far as the movie was advertised so heavily on him hanging off a plane, and it's the opening of the movie.
It's
and you're
the
like, what's
opening
going to happen
scene.
next?
Yep.
Like, that's where we're starting? What's next after this?
Yeah.
And that leads to like this fucking killer like middle bit where it's like the underwater breathing stuff into a car chase, into a motorcycle chase, and it's like, this is nuts. Like, it's so much fun. It's so wonderfully crafted. I like Ghost Protocol rocks, obviously. It has the Burj Khalifa stunt. It has so much great stuff. But it's so heavily peaks at the Burj Khalifa and the sandstorm stuff, where like afterwards, like, it's still fun, but it's not nearly as good as I think Rogue Nation's a lot more consistent in that regard. I think the whole way through is giving you just like some form of awe after another, and is super compelling to watch. I think it's the best plot of any Mission Impossible movie. I think the story is just rock solid in this one. It really knows how to make the espionage stuff work well, in addition to being another treatise on why Tom Cruise is the one person that could save us all without making it too overly excessive about that, which is what I think Fallout and the Reckoning films kind of do. They make him really seem like the messiah of movies, where I think Rogue Nation's still kind of a little more subtle about it. Alec Baldwin gets added to this. He's great in here. But Cruise, like, the breath holding stuff, I think is like, it's so wild to think like, what can I do? Well, I can hang off a plane, or I can like figure out how to like go underwater for a long time. Both. Like, why not? Let's make this happen. I love that he seems so like Ghost Protocol is the funniest Mission Impossible film by far, because everything messes up in that movie. Like, it's constantly like a comedy of errors of him trying to make all the technology work. I like that this movie dials that back. If anything, it goes smaller, which you rarely see, right? Like 3 is another example of that. 3 is like, 2 was so big, let's take it back small again. You rarely see a franchise want to ground things after going as big as they do.
Yeah.
Remove Fast and Furious 11.
I was just thinking that. I was like,
and I'm part of the family. I love the
that
family, but like, let's see what happens if we try to go smaller. Let's see how that goes.
Can they steal 4K players? Like, is that? I mean,
right?
Yeah, we go back to stealing stuff. What I like of Rogue Nation is it kind of goes smaller too, like, because the Burj Khalifa scene is such a huge iconic moment. This one is a little grittier, which I appreciate. I like the villain a lot in this one. I think this is my favorite villain in this one, because it feels more rooted in the world of the Hunt, as opposed to like, it's an arms dealer and he hates women apparently. Like, I like this performance of this guy, who's more, he sees things in a different way than Cruise does. But regardless, the vulnerability aspect of it. Like the fourth one has a lot of comedy. This one has this like he dies literally at one point, and then like he gets revived. He tries to get in this car chase. He tries to hop over a hood, and he falls down. It's like he's just kind of stumbling a bit, but it's still like fun. When he's in the motorcycle chase, everyone's great at motorcycling, and he like scrapes his knee on the ground at one point. Like there's just little bits like that that show like he's still human. Like he's doing all this stuff. He doesn't necessarily want to do all this stuff, but he's pulling it off, and it's great. It's great. I think the suspense of this movie is wonderful too. I think there's some really good stuff at the end that takes a different approach to how to end one of these Mission Impossible movies that I think works really well. So yeah, Rogue Nation's my favorite Mission Impossible, and it's my final pick for this draft.
I think the reason, I mean, over the course of 8 movies, that there's still, even if you don't like one of them, there's points in all of them that you can enjoy. And it's the fact that he does try to maintain a humanity to Ethan Hunt, even in those movies where like he is the savior of all of mankind. Especially in this last one, there are definitely moments like that. But he does try to, yeah, like he's not perfect at everything. He's going to take a hit and go down, and he's going to try and get back up and do is again, Fast and Furious could maybe take a lesson from that, but also they've leaned hard into the opposite. So fine, let him have that. But yeah, it's a good choice.
All right, Justin, you've had 2 months to think about it. You've watched all the other movies that you can possibly find.
That's funny.
You've heard everybody else. We apparently haven't stolen all of your choices from you.
No.
You're finishing us off. This is the last film.
I was gonna make a joke and say I was gonna take Goldmember with the
Mummy.
cameo.
That's where I
Yeah.
thought Jeanette was going.
I
when
thought she
she
was
said
gonna do that
cameos.
too.
Like, 'cause
Yeah.
that's it'd be a good pick.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. No, so I'm gonna throw out 2 honorable mentions I'm not gonna take because I did rewatch them both and liked them a lot more this time than I did the first time, which would be Oblivion and Vanilla Sky. Both that I thought when I saw them the first time, either I didn't know what was going on, Vanilla Sky, or didn't care to see the same thing over again, Oblivion. But given some space, I think they're both actually a lot better than I gave them credit for the first time. But I can't take those movies in this spot. I've taken Spielberg, I've taken Mann, I've taken Reiner, I've taken Scorsese, right? Macquarie too, but Fallout is an elite action movie. I think I would do myself a disservice if I didn't lean in a little bit and say, let's go with Eyes Wide Shut and take
There you
Stanley
go.
Kubrick.
Kubrick,
Because
yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like, when I was talking earlier about like kind of inflection moments for his career, this one not only completely submarined his marriage, but it took him off the board for a couple years.
What marriage?
Well,
I mean,
we don't
yes,
know.
Anyway.
Well, I would say watch the movie and we could like investigate the because I think Kubrick like had a magnifying glass up to them and was just like, I want to see what's actually going on. And like whether or not he wanted it, like his death wish was to like break them apart or not, I don't know. But I think that it's the one that I didn't get to rewatch before this because like we talked about with Last Samurai, 240, it's tough to just be like, I'm going to throw this on real quick.
It's too long.
Plus, it's like you got to really envelop yourself into this world because it's dark, but it's also like there's so much under the surface because it's Kubrick. And so I think that having seen it the time that I have and knowing what an impact it had, not on just his life, but on his career, because again, it took him off the board. He doesn't appear in movies for a few years because of Eyes Wide Shut, and just like kind of the trajectory that happens after it, and the Kidman of it all, and the Kubrick of it all. I think it's the perfect little hook on the end of my list that makes me very happy. But I could not take it, so there it is.
It's yeah, he's very good in it. Both of them
And he
are very
is,
good at it.
absolutely.
That's what also helps when you're stuck doing hundreds of takes for Kubrick. He gets what he wants out of you.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
The man can walk down a street. Cruise knows how to walk down a street.
I just love something you mentioned of like whether or not it was Stanley Kubrick's death wish to break them apart. The idea of Stanley Kubrick being enough of a petty bitch to be like, you know what I'm gonna do?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get in here to their marriage.
Hey, it's possible.
It's I don't think about it very mainly because I'm just like younger at that time. But yeah, he's 96. He's got Mission Impossible, Jerry Maguire. Then he's just not in movies until 99. That's like
That's
kind of weird. That's wild to think about. He's just not there.
That's right.
Ever since then, every year he has a movie.
And it's like you not just wonder like what else he could have been doing in there, but it's more just like I think there's a reason he then jumps into MI2 immediately after.
Oh yeah.
And then it's like,
Yeah.
I'd say what 90% of what he does after is some
His
form
action,
of, right?
He leans into the action.
Well,
Yep.
I remember
Yep.
reading about all of the studio people bitching about the fact that Tom Cruise was off the board because he was still making the stupid, not stupid, they
Yep.
thought it was stupid, Stanley Kubrick film. He said, finish it already so that we can have this piece back in our game. And
Yep.
it was 2.5 years of nothing else, and that's going to be a problem when he's the biggest star in the world and he's not available to you. And you know that everybody who was pitching a movie at that time said, okay, we got Tom Cruise in this,
Yeah.
except we can't have Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
And that screwed up all of the studio pitches.
It's a great way of you leveling out your list, Justin, as far as like looking at all the auteurs he's worked with, because this is really the culmination of that, right? He's got all these great directors that he's worked with, and he still has the Spielberg years to come.
He's Spielberg to come, yeah.
But Kubrick is such a when's that going to factor in? And he does. He managed to make a Kubrick movie, his last movie, and it has this like, not to nearly the high of extent, but like this Phantom Menace like hype behind it. It's like it's Kubrick's final film. It stars two of the biggest movie stars in the world. How could this fail? And if it does, even if it's not, even if people don't look at it as the greatest thing, that means it's going to be immediately like we're going to trash it, right? Like if it's not what we want or what we're expecting, which I don't know what you would expect from a Kubrick film, except something weird and what you wouldn't expect to begin with. That seems like what, like who walks into Kubrick and being like, "Yep, that's what I thought I was going to get." he completely didn't surprise me. Classic Kubrick, but yeah, I remember it. I mean, it got decent reviews and did okay as far as like it did pretty well actually for a 2 hour 40-minute sex erotic thriller kind of movie. Like
that came out at Christmas time.
Like no, it was a summer movie.
No, it was a summer release.
Summer
Yeah.
I
release.
thought it was Christmas.
Yeah, it was set.
Oh, yeah,
It's a. But yeah, it made 162 on 65 budget. Like that's great.
Wow.
movies would love to do that these days. But,
Yeah.
That was the curiosity factor,
Exactly,
wasn't
for
it? Because
sure.
in the run up to Eyes Wide Shut, nobody knew what this film was about. They're like, you've got Kubrick, big director, Cruise, huge star. What is this film about? I haven't a clue. Then they went to see it. It's a film that needs to be watched more than once. I hated it the first time I saw it. I've seen it loads of times over the years, and I love the film now. So you go into a film that's nearly 3 hours, you know, I don't know what to expect. That's a high bench to actually hit and make people come out and go, wow, that was amazing. They came out with their nose bleeding and their brains scrambled in a good way.
Yeah.
I almost
stuff.
wonder what it would be like to release this now with internet culture the way it is, how it would affect it.
Younger internet culture hates the idea of sex. So I mean, they'd be like, "Why is this here?
Yeah.
why is our grandpa of action movies having sex with our favorite AMC spokesperson?"
There's dialogue in it. It sucks. I hate it.
When
I
the
mean,
lights
knowing
go
that-
down, the
that-
magic
everywhere.
starts.
What's going on?
Attention
funny.
spans are so short now. It just would be very interesting to, and not only like if it came out now, but the production of like the length of a production with it just would be very interesting to see how it would be received now.
Like it's like the movie itself is too much of like it's too much of a Kubrick thing, I think, to like take off into somewhere. But like audiences don't like if they can want audiences don't mind that long movies if they like the movie. Like Oppenheimer did Oppenheimer. Like I mean, it's not the length. This is more of like, is there a curiosity there? Will people want to see this kind of movie for that amount of time? I don't know. It's hard to tell. Like it's a. But I do think the war against sex in movies has taken such a strong stance at this point. So I don't know.
Well, I'm not going to participate in the war against sex in movies. I'm, like I
You're
said,
still on the train scene. I get it.
I'm still on the train, thinking about that. Look, that wraps it up for our draft. Everybody's got a list here. I'm just going to recap it for everybody quickly so that we know what's going on here. Justin picked Minority Report, Collateral, Color of Money, Mission Impossible Fallout, A Few Good Men, and Eyes Wide Shut.
Aaron, I'm coming for you, man.
Okay.
Aaron is standing his defense with Jerry Maguire, Magnolia, Top Gun Maverick, Edge of Tomorrow, Rain Man, and Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Stuart has decided that Born on the 4th of July, Rock of Ages, Cocktail, Days of Thunder, The Firm, and Valkyrie are the best chance of overcoming Aaron's inherent advantages. Jeanette apparently is not a huge fan of Tom Cruise films, but she
That's right.
she likes elements of Tom Cruise films well enough to pick Legend, Tropic Thunder, The Last Samurai, Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning, War of the Worlds, Young Guns. And
I'm
I
looking for the
went,
votes of everyone who's not a Tom Cruise fan.
there you go.
There you
And
go.
I'm not sure how many votes
can-
there'll be for that, but we'll see. It'll show up.
There'll be Katie Holmes, Nicole
That's
Kidman.
right.
There's two.
I'm on their side.
And I got MI3, Night and Day, Top Gun, Mission Impossible, Risky Business, and Jack Reacher, going for all the popular blockbuster action films that I could load in here.
There you
To
go.
be
we're
fair,
gonna-
these are all great lists.
Yeah,
All these movies are fun to watch.
It'll be fun. It wouldn't surprise me that any of them was the successful winner of this draft. Although I know that Aaron's just he's good at promoting his stuff. He's good at this. You know,
Also
I don't want
choose
to
good
assume it's a
movies,
fait
like-
accompli, but you know, you never know.
And the
All right,
prize
we're gonna-
purse is still $10,000, right? Is that the prize purse is still?
Are you supplying it? Because if you are, I'm happy to award it.
I thought this was all Jay's money.
He didn't have any money. He's broke.
Now,
Tom's money.
Now we could write to Tom Cruise and ask him to fund
There you go.
Honestly,
prize.
I bet he would. I bet he would float it at
I'll
least a little
tweet
bit.
him.
Yeah,
We follow each other.
There
on
you
the
go.
old
The
You
Twitter.
winner
tweet
should
him
get
and we'll see
the
how it goes.
coconut cake, right? Like that's actually what we should be playing for.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break here to hear from a fellow Lamb Podcast Network show, and then we'll be back with the exit question of the week.
In a world where podcasts already seem to address every imaginable subject, one man broke new ground with a seemingly random obsession about exploding helicopters in movies. He was a podcaster on the edge, a maverick broadcaster who played by his own rules. Now, he has a last chance to talk about the strange way helicopters explode in film. Exploding Helicopter, available on iTunes and Podomatic now. Think you know about chopper fireballs? Think again.
We're back, and it's time for our exit question of the week. Look, we talked about it in the draft that Tom Cruise has worked with a lot of different actors over the years, sometimes when he was an up-and-comer, sometimes, of course, when he is the star, and it provoked the question, who would you like to see working with Tom Cruise? So the question for everybody this week is, who would be a good co-lead in a new Tom Cruise film? Justin, I know that you're a big Tom Cruise fan, so I'm going to start with you. We'll finish with Jeanette because I know she's not the big Tom Cruise fan.
For me, I did think about this for a bit, and sure, the Chalamet thought. I know we mentioned him at one point, and I was like, that's not a bad idea. But for me, I think a person that I really love that has a similar swagger. He's gotten a little older now, but like in this, like when I saw him as Captain Kirk, I was like that. Like I've seen that before. I'd go with Chris Pine. I feel like that they would be a very interesting combo to do some sort of. I know he's older, so it wouldn't be the whole like mentor trainee scenario. But I think about how Pine acted opposite Denzel in Unstoppable as an example. Like he can be mano a mano against some of the all-time greats there. So I'm gonna go with Pine.
Have you got any idea for what the film would be?
I don't give away ideas like that for free.
Oh, damn. Fair enough. Aaron, how about you? You have opinions, right?
I do. Lupita Nyong'o.
Oh,
Ooh, yes,
amazing.
For
excellent
one
choice.
thing, she's a bona fide movie star.
Yes.
She adds to everything she's in, and based on just the results of her films, they do better because she's in them.
Yes.
So there's already another movie star to put her alongside him with. I think this would easily be a good chance for Tom Cruise to take on something of a mentor type role. It could be like a legal drama, and she could be like a young lawyer, and he's like, the stalwart kind of guy at the head of the firm or something, and his name's on the building or whatever, or their law firm. He gives advice or whatever he does. But regardless, I just think I like to see outside the box type things. I'd like to see Tom Cruise take chances with like doing stuff with other stars that would also have the same kind of charisma that could easily outweigh his own, just to make it more of a challenge for him to kind of keep up, as well as go along with like what's happening and not be afraid to kind of let other people not necessarily stomp all over him, but certainly share the screen in that kind of way. I'm more interested in like what directors he could be working with, but as far as stars go, yeah, I think that's something I wouldn't see coming, and therefore I want to see it happen.
I'm here for that.
Love that.
Stuart, how about you?
I really want my musical Collateral Rocks, but I'm not going to go for that one. I want to see Tom Cruise going back to the villain role again. We've talked about before. I want to see him play like a serial killer or a really, really corrupt cop, and I want to see him go up against another serial killer or a corrupt cop played by one of my favorite actors, Ethan Hawke.
Yikes.
It's fun.
I could see that.
I feel like there's Oscars in that somewhere. That feels very Oscar-y to me.
Well, that's what's missing from his catalog, right?
Honestly.
Like, I mean, should have won for Jerry Maguire. Like, I mean,
Yes.
when you,
That's-
I mean, meaning I don't necessarily even love that movie like we talked about, but like when you look at who he was up against too, and like that was the one.
I
And
entirely agree. Like,
Yeah.
Born on the Fourth and Magnolia years.
Yeah.
There's tough competition in those. The Jerry Maguire year.
Was that the
that kid-
Jeffrey Rush year?
That Shiny
He
Vixen
doesn't-
Harrison came along. He played that piano.
He doesn't really aim for that anymore. It might be nice to see. I don't know
He's
if
gonna
he
go back
cares
for it
about
now.
it. Yeah,
Isn't the
it might
Inarritu
be the
movies
time.
next?
If he's done jumping out of stuff, he's easily
Yeah.
gonna try to.
Yeah.
He's got the Inarritu movie coming out next.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll see what happens.
There it is there. But I feel like Ethan Hawke is definitely in that corrupt cop Oscar-y award season Tom Cruise movie.
I love
Yes.
that.
Good job, Stuart.
Thank you.
Yeah, if they can't get Ethan Hawke, I think Josh Brolin could play the part. You need, and he's already done the corrupt cop kind of thing, so it's an experience that Tom Cruise would know going in how it's going to play.
Mm-hmm.
Jeanette, I know that you want to cast him in something that's going to be more amusing, right?
I would love to see him in a full-out insane comedy piece with Keke Palmer. I don't think he could handle it. I think it would be hilarious.
I love that.
There you go.
I think that would be crazy. I don't know what you could do with them. But so here's a side, because he excels at action and I like him in action. I really enjoyed the G20 with Viola Davis. I'd love to see a sequel to that in which Tom Cruise is the bad guy. And she has to go up against Tom Cruise as he tries to Tom Cruise some situation and she has to save everyone. I'm here for it. Love it.
All right, and
Nice.
I had a whole bunch of thoughts on this. First of all, I hate the fact that he hasn't worked with Denzel yet. He needs to do that.
Because we couldn't handle that level of star power.
Damn, we've
need a-
had those kinds of things before.
You need a John Grisham Avengers film where all the lawyers come together.
That would be so good.
And after talking about the Vanessa Redgrave scene in the original Mission Impossible, I think, Helen Mirren would be a good counterpart for him in some film. I'm not exactly sure how I would put it together. That's they have to be rivals at some corporate conflict that's going on, where they're executives at different companies that have some kind of I don't know, antitrust lawsuit against them, and they're not the lawyers, but they are the executives, and so something has to go between them. I like that idea.
I'd like to see them as like partners the entire time until someone is sabotaging them the whole way, and then he realizes at the end it's her and she's been the bad guy the whole time, or flip that and he's been the bad guy the whole time.
Something like that. I like that idea.
Can we cross-franchise the Fast and the Furious franchise and the Mission Impossibles because Helen Mirren's in one and Cruise in the
Honestly,
other?
another great idea. I'd love to see him step into the final Fast and Furious. I think he'd
man.
have a great time in that. I
Well-
don't think their egos, I don't think Vin Diesel's ego could handle it,
There it is.
but I would love to see it.
Well, how
Vin
about
Diesel can
how about
easily
this?
handle it. He's let other actors come in all the time and steal the show. That's
Yeah.
just-
Since this was Final Reckoning, and apparently Ethan Hunt is now retired, that means he's extremely dangerous, and that means that he and Helen Hunt can do Red 3.
no one wants that.
No.
No one wanted Red 2.
And
We barely tolerated Red 1.
if we were going young, Chalamet I mentioned earlier, I think Austin Butler would be somebody that he could
Ugh.
also work with.
Yes, probably.
Apparently not a fan.
Is that whole, like I said, that cluster of these interchangeable young white actors who are just coming up with the crazy names. All these dudes. Austin Butler's in there too. Aaron Edgerton. The
What are these crazy names?
not so
Apparently Austin and
also the Taron
Aaron.
Edgerton, Ansel Egelhort, the one who played Solo. What's that guy's name?
Alden
Alden?
Ehrenreich.
Alden Ehrenreich. Listen, the names aren't that crazy. I just like to lump them all together. You know what I mean. All those dudes.
Well, I appreciate you guys lumping all these Tom Cruise films together, and we're going to take our exit here, but I want to give everybody a chance to promote things that they think we might want to turn our eyes and ears to. So very quickly, Aaron, I know you've got a lot of stuff. Can you pick one or two things to quickly highlight?
Well, I'm used to plugging all of it very quickly, but I co-host Out Now There Today, a weekly podcast where my friend Abe and I discuss movies, and we do a lot of bonus stuff for that as well. Two Black Guys Talk Godzilla. My friend and fellow film critic Terrence Johnson and I talk about the Godzilla films in chronological order. Lots of fun there, and we're currently doing the summer of 2015 at 10 as well with my friend Brandon Peters and Scott Mendelson. We talk about the summer movie season from 10 years ago. Everything I do can be found on my personal Substack page, thecodazeek.substack.com.
Very efficient, and I appreciate that. Jeanette, can you be efficient as well?
Yeah, absolutely. You can check my reviews. They're very short now over on the Mundane Adventures of a Fangirl at jwardadventures.blogspot.com. Just posting one about Predator: Killer of Killers. Boy, that was great. Streaming on Hulu.
Fun.
Nice. Stuart, have you got something that we can turn our eyes and ears to and appreciate from you?
Yes, my YouTube channel, From Page to Screen, the number 2, not the word 2. I put all sorts of geeky crap on that, whether it's me unboxing physical media sets I have, or interviews that I've done, or Q&A panels I've hosted. All geeky stuff goes on there. So if anybody can go over there and you don't even have to watch it, to be fair, just leave it playing. Leave your screen for a few hours. It boosts my view numbers. So much appreciated.
We're all good with that. And Justin, I know that your podcast isn't active anymore, but you want to remind us what it is, and if there's anything else you want to talk about, feel free.
No, just the two shows that I have archived: the Rambling Ramblers movie podcast, where we watched a movie where it was the first time viewing it for me, my best friend. It was his 80th viewing of it, and we came at it from different angles. Really fun show that we did. And then What Do You Love is the second podcast. That's just me interviewing amazing people and learning a little bit more about people. Not movie centric, but just really good work that I'm really proud of. So What Do You Love?
I like it. Very good. On my site, as usual, I just post something on a movie. If I see it in a theater, I'm going to put a post on it. I'm still 3 behind. I've got some classic movies that we caught up with this week, a couple of things that you might be interested in. I saw Dr. Strangelove, and I saw Sunset Boulevard on Sunday and Monday. Polite Society, which is a film that I hadn't had any anticipation for, but enjoyed the hell out of. New films, by the way, I do want to strongly recommend Dangerous Animals. It may very well be my favorite film of the year.
It's very fun.
It's a lot of fun, very entertaining. I want to thank everybody once again for joining us. It's been a long show, but I appreciate it. Sometimes I just feel I've made a terrible mistake and I'll never get to college. My life is ruined. Thanks, everybody.
You've been listening to the LAMBcast. If you have an idea for a show or would like to join us on the LAMBcast, contact us at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Find us on Facebook, just search for LAMBcast, or on X, formerly Twitter, at LAMBcast. And you can find us on YouTube as well. The LAMB site can be found at largeassmovieblogs.com. We'd also love it if you would leave a review on iTunes.